Evacuations from those areas are being advised, with many heading to Metro Atlanta for several days, explains GEMA Director Chris Stallings.
Water doesn't just dissipate quickly, especially to the levels we're looking at. So it's going to be a multi-day response.
He says up to 2 feet of rain could fall this week in South Georgia. Michelle Wright, 95.5 WSB.
And this is News Since Atlanta's Morning News. Governor Kemp has now issued a state of emergency that will be in effect through Thursday due to the threat of historic rainfall with this slow-moving storm. The governor also authorizing the call-up of as many as 2,000 Georgia National Guard troops to help out. While South Georgia is expecting a lot of rain, WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards says, we're not expecting much here in the metro area, but it will be breezy and warm this afternoon, she says. Highs around 90. We'll have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast coming up at 12:05. Now let's talk about your money. Jitters on Wall Street. The Dow Jones plummeting more than 1,100 points in the first few minutes of trading this morning, while the markets have rebounded just a little bit from the initial drop. Greg McBride, the chief financial analyst for Bankrate, says the markets were overdue for this kind of fluctuation.
Market corrections, which is a 10% pullback from a high, tend to happen on average about once a year, every 12 months or so. We're overdue. So, put it in that context.
And he says that if you are watching your 401k today, you cannot be distracted by day-to-day volatility. So do just that. Watch it. He says write it out. As we take a look at the markets right now, the Dow is down 816 at 38,920. So the Dow's down more than 2%. NASDAQ's down almost 3%. And the S&P's down almost 2.5% here on your lunch hour. Now let's head to Gwinnett County, where a mail carrier finds himself behind bars this afternoon. In Decula, some folks were not getting their mail, so they called the Postal Service. That's when the mail carrier was targeted, Marcus Gregory. He became the target of that investigation. And what they saw?
They watched as he got out of his mail truck, walked into the woods, and dumped some of the mail into the wood line on the side of the roadway.
That's Sergeant Colin Flynn with the Gwinnett County Police Department. He says inside the mail truck they found a gun, and the delivery man was also using illegal drugs. They searched his vehicle and home and found undelivered mail there, too. He's now charged with 51 felony counts. He could also be facing federal charges in this case. Owners of neglected property in Atlanta could be slapped with a blight tax. The Atlanta City Council considering the ordinance today. Councilmember Brian Amos telling WSB.
It allows us to do a 25 times the normal tax rate on a property that is dilapidated, deteriorating, uninhabited.
And once a property is deemed blighted, its owner would have until January of the following year to fix it or sell it, or they would face that higher tax. We have an update this noon on COVID. The Atlanta-based CDC is warning about a new variant that's now doubled here in the United States in just a matter of 2 weeks. It's called KP3.1.1 and now accounts for 1 in 4 COVID cases in the U.S. It's much more infectious than previous variants and may be better at evading immunity built up by those existing COVID vaccines. The warning follows the detection of high levels of COVID-19 in wastewater in 20 states, and those most at risk from COVID do include seniors 65 and up, those with immune compromised, and plus people with diabetes or lung or heart conditions. And school is back in session today in Fulton, DeKalb, Fayette, and Gwinnett counties. Gwinnett, the state's largest school district, starts the new year with very few teacher vacancies, just 20.
Right now, we have a little more than 1,100 teachers who are first time to the teaching role. The district's total number of teaching positions, we have a little more than 12,000.
That is Gwinnett County Public School Superintendent Calvin Watts. He says the school district has been recruiting teachers both inside and outside the county, and that's led to success in filling those vacancies. You might remember in Clayton County last week, we told you that school started there with hundreds of vacancies. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. We're going to start in the WSB 24-hour traffic center, and Veronica Harrell, she has a look at the roads.
And right now, Sabrina, construction is over on the 285 eastbound inner loop ramp to Georgia 400 right lane taken out. Thankfully, no big delay. Just be aware of that. Looking at some construction on the surface streets over in Gwinnett County, Beaufort Highway at Mitchell, at least one lane blocked, causing some delays. Elsewhere over on Jimmy Carter Boulevard westbound, also in Gwinnett County, over at Beaufort Highway, crash knocks out at least one lane of travel, and travel advisory remains over in the Pendergrass area because of traffic pacing. 85 north and southbound both directions at Highway 129. Use Highway 124. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored here at noon by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of summer. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
A mix of sun and clouds for this afternoon. Breezy, that northeast wind gusting 25 miles per hour in the metro Atlanta area. Staying mainly dry, just a slim chance of an isolated rain shower. The bulk of the rain from Debbie is going to stay south and east of metro Atlanta. Today's high is 90 degrees, lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, windy with those wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow's high is 89. Wednesday, partly cloudy, breezy, high 93. Thursday and Friday, a mix of sun and clouds, morning lows in the 70s, daytime highs in the upper 80s to low 90s.
And as we take a look at WSB Storm Tracker radar here in metro Atlanta, it looks pretty good. But as Christina had said, it is raining currently in Savannah, and they could see up to 20 inches of rain now through Saturday. Here in the metro area, in Smyrna, partly cloudy skies, 83 degrees. It's 84 right now in Fairburn and 81 in Loganville. We'll have more news at 12:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. Glad to have you with me. The phone number, if you want to be on the program, 877-973-7425. As always, text Eric to 33777. You can get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, all that. Right now, the Dow is recovered some. It is down less than 2%. It's down 776 points. Down 1.95%. The NASDAQ down 457 points, down 2.7%. S&P 500 down 120 points, down 2.25%. The Russell 2000 down 60 points, down 2.85%. Down day in the markets. The NASDAQ is officially in correction territory at this point. Huge drops in the markets over the last few days. Let me explain this one to you, and a perfect time to remind you of some stuff. I want to begin by saying I am no financial expert. You should not rely on me for your financial advice. Talk to your financial expert. That caveat said, I do know people, and I do talk to people. And you know, the one guy that I guess we're all supposed to listen to said this the other day.
The economy.
If you can't understand him, that's Joe Biden just the other day saying, I cured the economy. As the Dow is, well, down, my goodness, a great deal. 780 points right now as I'm talking. So let me explain to you what's going on, because now is not the time to panic. You poor millennials and Gen Zers, all this market volatility. This isn't something new. This happens. The stocks are falling because there is fear of a recession coming. But there's a larger macro picture here you've got to understand, and we have to begin in Japan, where the land of the rising sun, it rises first in Japan. The day starts in Japan and then spreads across China and Europe and then to New York and across the United States, and then the day starts over in Japan. Here's what you got to understand about the market right now, and this is the macroeconomic picture, just so you have everything in perspective and you're more informed than your friends. In Japan, the Japanese have kept the yen, their currency, priced in a way that allows people to buy Japanese currency. You borrow Japanese currency because their interest rates are very low. So you borrow Japanese currency and then you buy dollars with it. Even taking into exchange the currency exchange rate, you've bought your Japanese currency at a very low interest rate, and then you invest it in the United States that has a higher interest rate. You're making money. Even taking into account the exchange rate, you actually make money. So you generate more in interest on what you've borrowed by investing it in American dollars. So then you can take that interest that you're making and pay off your debt in Japan, which is at a lower interest rate, and you've still got profit left over. And a lot of people have been doing this. In addition, it keeps Japanese export sales boosted, and local companies see a benefit to their stock because the Japanese currency value exchange rate, it makes it easier to buy Japanese goods. Every once in a while, Japanese goods get very expensive. Americans don't buy as much of it. They're higher end goods, cars, technology, things like that. By keeping their inflation rate or their interest rates low and keeping the Japanese currency conversion rate low, it's cheaper to buy Japanese goods. Last week, the Federal Reserve said it wasn't going to raise rates, but it wasn't going to cut rates. And then it said the odds are there's going to be significant cuts starting in September. The Japanese, on the same day, raised interest rates. So what you've begun to see is that the Japanese yen, their currency, is starting to unravel. Now, why that unraveling? Well, again, if you buy Japanese currency and invest it in the United States, or better yet, you borrow a large sum of money from Japan and invest it in the United States, you're generating more money on the American interest rates than it's costing you to borrow the money in Japan. But now that Japan is raising its interest rates and the Americans are lowering their interest rates, there's an imbalance, and suddenly it's costing you more to borrow Japanese money and you're making less in the American market. So people have to sell and get out while they still can. In addition, that destabilizes the Japanese stock market because Japanese stocks have been doing very, very well based on very low interest rates in Japan compared to the United States. Now suddenly that imbalance is happening. So people began divesting in the Japanese stock market. A lot of Asian currencies convert into the Japanese currency and do business through Japan to get into American markets. China, for example, the North Koreans and others, they go through Japan to get into American markets because it's easier for them to get into Japan than it is to get into American markets directly, so they can do it indirectly. This is causing them problems, so their markets start selling off. On top of all of that, you do have the economic data from the United States showing that job creation in this country has slowed dramatically. When you get rid of the healthcare sector and the leisure sector, which are still messed up from COVID, and you get rid of government jobs, the private market payroll in the United States is not doing well. 117,000 jobs created. That's not good. People were able to jump from job to job, and now suddenly not so much. People are in a holding pattern with their jobs. Companies are now freezing hiring. They're worried about a recession coming. They do expect interest rates to be lowered by the Federal Reserve, but it's causing market panic. So between what's happening in Japan, where their markets are rebalancing, contemplating lower interest rates in the United States and higher interest rates in Japan, and the labor market in this country becoming weaker than the government expected it to be. Side note, tangent, another example that the government has a hard time rigging data in this country because of the private sector. We have multiple ways of checking. Add those two together, and you've got a market calamity today. Now, this is going to be a short-term problem, not a long-term problem. In fact, the markets really tanked today, but they've started to come back from where they were. People are starting to buy. This is a buy opportunity for a lot of people. Now, if you got a 401k, today's not your day to look at it. But I wouldn't panic with your 401k because in American markets, what goes down tends to come up again. Also, if you're young and you stay in the market for 30 years, the odds are you're going to come out ahead. If you're a day trader, if you're someone who makes short-term trades, it's probably not a good thing for you. But you should be in the market for the long haul, and over time, you should begin to shift towards bonds. The older you get, they provide more stability. We are in this situation right now where people who are in limited means and fixed incomes who have invested in CDs and have savings accounts and money market funds like that, they're getting more money than they have been the last number of years because interest rates have been so low. It sounds like the Federal Reserve in September, if not sooner, The Fed could come out tomorrow and say, you know what, we're going to go on and cut interest rates now, given things. The Fed is being criticized for not acting soon enough when inflation started and not acting soon enough now that a recession looms. They're always going to get attacked. The Fed is in a no-win situation. No one ever likes what they do in large part. The problem here politically is that whoever's in the White House gets the blame. Now, I have long said, so this isn't me just taking a shot here or there. I have long said this when Bush was president, when Obama was president, when Trump was president. Presidents get disproportionate credit when the economy is going well, and presidents get disproportionate blame when the economy is doing bad. This helps Donald Trump because the Democrats will get disproportionate blame right now because they're the ones in the White House. And it doesn't help when you have Kamala Harris out there like this.
All that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
They're very proud of Bidenomics. Republicans will have an opportunity now to weave all of this into a tale of the Democrats mishandling the economy and driving us into recession. It's globally a more complicated picture than that, but the political line, if the Republicans can be disciplined, can stick to the Biden White House because people are already upset about the economy. And the most frustrating part of this is that, so normally I come in, I'll turn on CNN or Fox and have that on. I've had on CNBC all day. And the number of people, the number of business analysts who want to tell you that at the macroeconomic picture, things are still fine. At the macroeconomic picture. As you and I have long discussed, things at the microeconomic picture, your household level, they have been fine for a while. This gets into my complaint about Donald Trump this weekend. He was in Atlanta. He actually spent more time on stage criticizing Republican Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia and his wife than he did Kamala Harris. We need for Trump to focus on the Democrats, not Republicans. He needs to get elected. And MAGA needs to start standing for make affordable groceries again, make affordable goods again, make affordable gas again. You want to make America great again, you got to make affordable groceries again. You got to make affordable goods again. You got to make affordable gas again. Now, there is one contraindication to a recession right now. Speaking of gas, we are at all-time gas usage right now. Record high number of people requiring gas for commercial trade. That's significant because if there is an economic slowdown, the use of gas goes down in recessions. Why? People cut back. They don't ship as much. Right now, there's still a lot of shipping happening. There's still a lot of commercial transportation happening. That's a good sign for the economy. The economy at that level is still moving. But if that starts to slip, it's another warning sign of a recession. At the same time, before I get out of here for commercial break, let me also add this. Most of the gains in the indices, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, and the rest, they've come from a handful of companies. Those companies have disproportionately driven stocks. Apple, for example, NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft. These companies have disproportionately raised the stock market in ways that if you were not invested in them, you didn't see the benefit. Everything's done okay, but those companies have outpaced everyone else, and they've artificially driven up all the indices more than the indices probably should be driven up, and there is a correction coming there. Most of you, if you're not invested in those stocks, you haven't seen the massive gains that people who are invested in those stocks, like Nancy Pelosi, have seen. But this isn't calamitous. And the rule of thumb, honestly, I think remains buy reliable stocks and companies in which you use and that pay a dividend, reinvest the dividends, and stay there for 30 years, and you'll come out okay. If you're buying and trading, if you're managing your own portfolio and you're buying and selling all the time, you're not going to do well in the stock market. In addition to the tax disadvantages, you're creating your own instability. The markets over time will be fine. They will recover. But we probably are headed into a recession right before the election, which is bad news for Kamala Harris, great news for Donald Trump if he can focus. But what you're seeing today has a lot to do with Japan rebalancing its portfolio on top of recessionary fears in this country, all of which is something we will get past. But there's a complicating side effect to this. Don't look now. We may be on the verge of a large regional war breaking out of the Middle East. I've got those details when we come back.
Want to be on the show?
Hello? I love your show.
Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
1220 in the Cool Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Better news in Sandy Springs. It looks like that construction may be wrapping up over on 285 eastbound, the interloop ramp to Georgia 400. It wasn't a right lane, but hopefully it'll be wrapping up soon. Elsewhere, you are dealing with some construction over on Peachtree Road northbound at Peachtree Valley Road. It takes out a right lane, really jamming up the ride. And downtown, just a few brake lights for you, 75, 85 north and south. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It pays to have the WSB radio app. Download it today and get ready for the Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. 5 chances every weekday to win $1,000.
Begins Monday. It's a Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
From 95.5 WSB.
Download the WSB radio app now.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285 exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
You know your old roof doesn't really care for this recent rain. Dave Baker for Findlay Roofing, the roof guys. Your roof is your front line of defense to stop water from getting inside. Not sure about your roof? Think of Findlay first. FindlayRoofing.com. Roof.
We're in a world filled with war, and we're in an election year defined by division. And yet the greatest power struggle actually going on is between you and God. Except he isn't struggling, he's only wooing. He already laid down his life for you, and now he's inviting you to lay down control of yours to him. Your freedom and abundant living come through your surrender to Jesus as your Lord and leader. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net. At Ameris Bank, we're invested in the success of your business. Our local bankers are ready to help you improve your cash flow, optimize your operating accounts, and access financing when you need it. From treasury services and digital banking to loans and lines of credit, we offer tailored solutions to help your business thrive. At Ameris Bank, we're with you. Visit amerisbank.com/withyourbusiness or walk into one of our branches today to get started. Ameris Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
10,000 times. A family of 5 will open their garage door 10,000 times a year. The garage door is now your front door. Dave Baker here. If a spring breaks or your garage door just won't open, call the original overhead door company of Atlanta. Trusted here since 1935. A technician from Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is available 24/7 for your convenience. Call 404-USA-DOOR or schedule online at overheaddooratlanta.com.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
When it rains here in Atlanta, yeah, it pours. And poor drainage could be the reason for large cracks in your driveway or patio. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here. My friends at American Crawl Space Solutions can help lift and level the concrete slabs on your property. They will eliminate the tripping hazards and provide a level surface for you and your family. And their work is guaranteed. So visit AmericanCrawlSpaceSolutions.com to schedule your free in-home consultation.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
At City of Hope, we are driven to stop lung cancer, to respond to its every change, its every mutation, with a new treatment approach. To meet the most complex cases with the latest innovations. To analyze cancer down to its DNA. Then fight it with the newest surgical, radiation, and immunotherapies. To never give up, so you can be driven by hope. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. If you text the word data to 33777, you can order my new book, You Shall Be as God. You can also get a discount on the daily email I send out where I gave my frank and candid thoughts on the Trump performance in Georgia over the weekend. We'll get to that in the second hour. We've just got too much, including all the war stuff to get to first. But before I get to any of that, I want to get to Jim's call. Jim, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you're doing okay.
I am.
Listen, last week in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article that said that interest rate cuts are just a sideshow, and the main show is all the money that the Federal Reserve Bank has printed. Now, the question I have is, how can the Federal Reserve Bank start getting rid of some of that printed money, which is now debt, if the economy starts to wobble?
So my understanding, and again, I'm not an expert here, but from what I was reading in the Wall Street Journal as well, and the conversations on CNBC, is essentially the Fed just takes money out of circulation. So it's printed but unused, stored in vaults, and they take it out of circulation. They're trying to wind down, in fact, a lot of the money they've printed and make money more scarce. Part of that as well is the interest rate situation. By raising interest rates, it makes it more expensive for banks to borrow money, so they tend to borrow less money. Less money, therefore, circulates in the economy. The Fed pulls money out of the economy, and thereby allegedly driving down inflation. And it appears, by the way, to have worked. We've got inflation now under 3%. Problem is the Fed target rate is 2%. They want inflation to be no more than 2%. And they haven't gotten there yet, and they may not be able to get there. And there are growing murmurs that we may not see a 2% inflation rate. It may be 2.5, 2.6, which honestly isn't good. We do need to get it closer to a 2% rate. But when you have the economy headed into recession, we're going to have a stagflation situation where our situation right now, frankly, is mirroring the situation from the 1970s. In fact, if you put our interest rates and economic situation together from the 1970s now, it mirrors almost precisely what's going on, which suggests that what's going to happen is the Feds will cut interest rates and will spark inflation again, and they will have to raise interest rates again, and that will be further economic destabilization in the country. And on top of that, we've got the situation shaping up in the Middle East. When we come back, look, I want to talk to you about what happened in Georgia with Trump, his comments about Brian Kemp. He spent more time attacking Brian Kemp than he did attacking Kamala Harris. But we got to actually, what's way more important is understanding the situation in the Middle East. And so I really want to spend time there when we come back. First, however, I need to tell you that Eden Pure has brought their BOGO deal back on the Thunderstorm air purifier. When you buy one, you get one free. Doesn't matter how many buy, you get the equal number free. If you buy two, you get two free. You buy 10, you get 10 free. The Thunderstorm will eliminate any odor, and I can testify to this in my personal experience using it. Smoke odors, dirty diaper odors, litter box odors, wet dog odors, cooking odors, musty odors, doesn't matter. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm wipes out those odors. They generate O3 molecules. That's ozone. It seeks out and destroys odors, even behind furniture, even in the nooks and crannies. Nothing can hide from what it does. So now's the time to order it. The Eden Pure. It's buy one, get one free sale. It's limited time. Thousands of 5-star reviews. What you do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO, all one word, Eric Bogo. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Eric Bogo. You can start wiping out the odors in your house, your RV, wherever you need them. Buy one, get one free. EdenPureDeals.com. Discount code Eric Bogo.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. Debbie has weakened to a tropical storm now after making landfall this morning in Florida. And now the storm is pushing inland towards Georgia and the Carolinas. And even though Debbie has weakened, the storm remains dangerous. Rain and deadly flooding are expected to last across the southeastern United States this week, especially along the coast. Chatham County, Georgia Emergency Management Director Dennis Jones says rainfall there is expected to last at least until Thursday.
As this storm moves closer to us, it does have a significant tornado potential associated with it.
And Governor Kemp has declared a state of emergency and ordered up the National Guard to help out if needed. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards says for us here in Metro Atlanta, no major impact from Debbie, just windy conditions over the next couple of days. Going to be hot this afternoon. She says high right there around 90. In Gwinnett County, a mail carrier is arrested and charged with stealing mail. Undelivered mail was found at the home of Marcus Gregory as well as in his personal vehicles. He was also spotted by investigators dumping mail in the woods near Williams Farm Road and Highway 316. Sergeant Colin Flynn with Gwinnett Police.
At this time, we're not sure if he was opening the mail and taking the items out of it. All we can prove is that he had mail that was supposed to be delivered to people at his house and in his car. And then obviously he was dumping quite a bit of it in the woods.
He's now facing more than 50 felony counts and could also be facing federal charges. One of the most accurate indicators of the initial start of a recession was triggered after July's poor jobs report. Economist Claudia Sahm.
The volume is turned up louder than usual on the Sahm rule. I don't look at this and big picture say we are in a recession. But I look at this and I say we're not headed in a good direction.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down more than 1,100 points at one point today. The S&P 500 was down over 3%, and the Nasdaq slipped over 800 points. So where are we now? Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow now down 756 points at 38,980. So the Dow's down almost 2%. Nasdaq's down just over 2%, and the S&P is down almost 2%. It's 12:32.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I'm here with my friend, Dr. Brian Hill, owner and founder of Hip Nation. Tell me a recent experience about a company where you saw real employee savings.
We had an electricians company that decided to look into Hip Nation. Heard us on the radio, actually heard your voice, Eric. They reached out. We ran their plan. They compared to our solution at Hip Nation. For their 25 employees, they saved $114,000 in year one. And that's just the first year. That $114,000 is going to roll over year after year.
Brian, if I'm a small business owner looking at saving money and I'm looking at Hip Nation, what would you tell me is the compelling reason to check out Hip Nation?
Our goal is to help an employer save a significant amount of money and to make sure that their employees get great access to great health care. We see businesses as small as 5 employees saving as much as $50,000 by switching to us. We had a flooring company that just recently switched and put $50,000 back into their bottom line.
Go to HipNation.com to get a healthcare quote for your business today. The call's free. The savings are life-changing. That's HipNation.com.
Mosquito bites are the worst. But beyond the bite, mosquitoes are disgusting little germ factories that sometimes carry viruses. Dave Baker here for Breda Pest Management. It's time to quit your itching, be the superhero for your family, and eliminate mosquito-borne viruses in your yard with one call to Breda. If mosquitoes return within 30 days, only Breda will come back and retreat for free. BREDAPest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
It happened to me. I saw some cracks in my drywall. Hey, it's Doug Turnbull for Atlanta Ramjack, the very best in the foundation business. Are you seeing cracks in your drywall, stucco, bricks, around doors and windows, or in your flooring? You may have a foundation problem. And that might sound scary, but look, it could be nothing, and if it is something, call Ramjack. Foundation repair is all they do, using only the highest quality products. Schedule your free inspection. Just Google Atlanta Ramjack.
Hey, it's Scott Slade from iRoofer, FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, FGA has them all. Make the choice that keeps your home safe and dry while blending beauty, craftsmanship, and longevity. FGA Roofing. Go to firstgaroof.com.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Veronica Harrell.
And right now, a crash is off to the left, 675 southbound at Highway 4223, exit 2, causing some brake lights for you. Elsewhere, you are dealing with some brake lights over on 285 southbound, the outer loop right around South Cobb Drive, exit 15. And travel advisory remains in place out in Temple because of construction. I-20 westbound before Highway 27, exit 11. The left lane is closed, so use Highway 78. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy and breezy today, high 90. Northeast wind gusting 25 miles per hour.
More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. 95.5 WSB.
Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States from Atlanta, Georgia. The phone number is 877-973-7425. I got to say happy birthday to Eric Von Hessler on my flagship station, WSB. He invited me to his birthday on Saturday. We were supposed to be out of town because it's the last weekend before school starts. And then, well, I got hit with the stomach bug my kid had. And I didn't think they would want me ferrying a stomach bug up to the party. So I stayed in bed. But nonetheless, happy birthday. I got to explain to you what's going on in the Middle East. Wild times happening. So I put up a tweet on Saturday, laying in the sick bed, fuming about Donald Trump being an idiot again, and seeing all this stuff about Israel, and, well, war is probably coming. I got to play you this clip. This is from Face the Nation. I forget who the guy is now, one of the analysts on Face the Nation explaining, and this was the lead up to my tweet that war is coming. Buckle up, because war is most likely coming any moment now. It could happen while we're on the show today. It's not a good situation in the Middle East.
I want to start with the fact that the United States, the United Kingdom, and Jordan are advising citizens to get out of Lebanon right now. Is the Biden administration anticipating Israel will strike inside Lebanon soon, or how real is the risk that a second front could open up in Lebanon?
Well, Ed, what we're trying to do is prepare for any eventuality, any possibility. That's only responsible for the United States. Obviously, we've been quite clear that we'll work with our ally Israel to defend itself against any threats that it faces, and we are in a moment that appears to be of heightened threat. So what we have said to our own citizens is should they choose to or desire to leave Lebanon, the time to do that would be while commercial options are available, as they currently are. Beyond that, obviously, these are personal decisions that we will leave to people to make. We've raised our travel advisory to level 4, which discourages Americans from traveling to Lebanon, and we are preparing for whatever may come. But this is no prediction about future events. It is prudent planning for them and for our government.
Is that why the U.S. is deploying additional fighter squadron to the Middle East and moving in other naval vessels?
So you're referring to the announcement that was made on Friday, where the United States and our Pentagon said that we are moving a carrier, aircraft carrier group to the region and some additional air assets. That is entirely focused on defending Israel against potential threats it may face, and out of our desire to both deter those threats, defend against them, and ultimately de-escalate this situation and avoid it sliding into a regional war. We obviously had a very close call on a broader regional conflict on April 13th, when the United States worked very closely with Israel and with our other partners and allies to defeat a threat and an attack that Iran made against Israel. And should that situation arise again, we want to be prepared to do it. But the overall goal is to turn the temperature down in the region, deter and defend against those attacks, and avoid regional conflict, which has been our goal really since October 7th.
Okay, my Jewish boss texts me and says it's not going to happen until next week. There's a Jewish holiday next Wednesday. That's usually the pattern. Yes, the Iranians do like to attack Israel during Jewish holidays, thinking they've let their guard down, which I suspect isn't going to happen. Here's what I know. The Israeli Knesset and War Cabinet membership has been moved to an underground bunker that the Israeli government has for occasions where they expect serious war. They've also been advising the mayors of northern Israel to prepare for war. A document from the Israel Defense Force was provided to the mayor and regional leaders of northern Israel of what to expect should a full-scale war occur with Hezbollah, with them told to prepare for 3 days without power in some cities, a breakdown and interruption of water that could last over a week, a disconnection in landlines for up to 8 hours and 24 hours for cell phones, as well as local interceptions of internet and radio. Officials believe hundreds of rockets with 50 to 500 kilogram warheads could rain down on cities across northern and central Israel like Haifa and Tel Aviv, with Hezbollah likely prioritizing any military facilities, infrastructure, and civilian targets in that order. 40% of Israel's workforce could be forced to evacuate from the center of the country towards Jerusalem to the east and further south, with plans being created for tent cities to the north of Eilat in the Negev desert, and could house and feed several 100,000 to 1 million refugees. Serious planning happening for war. Now, why? So, again, I don't think it's a coincidence, and I don't think I can overemphasize this enough, that I do not think it is a coincidence that when Benjamin Netanyahu came to the United States 2 weeks ago, he met privately with Kamala Harris, and then went home and began the systematic assassination as quickly as possible of all of Israel's enemies. And that leads me to believe, one, he assessed the American political situation as she could very well win this thing, and two, she would be very bad for Israel. She has a history of being bad for Israel. And given the situation in the United States, as well as Joe Biden refusing to even meet with Netanyahu, claiming he was still under the weather, Israel has expedited killing its enemies. And one of those they killed was a prominent Hamas leader who lives in Qatar, who traveled to Iran to be there for the inauguration of its new president. And the bomb that was used to kill him in a safe house run by the Iranian secret police had been planted months before. The head of the secret police has already been executed by the Iranians, and they've rounded up many of the staff, claiming that they were plotting with the Zionists. Now, there's a larger picture here as well. There are Iranian military operatives right now south of us in Venezuela. Doesn't get a lot of American attention, but the Iranians, Chinese, and Russians have all been working with the Venezuelans as they anticipate invading neighboring Guyana in an oil-rich territory. The Iranian military has been in the Western Hemisphere now for some time. In addition, we do know, and the FBI has warned about potential Hezbollah operatives and others crossing illegally into this country. We've already arrested people with ties to ISIS. What becomes a regional war could become more serious when you have potential terrorists having crossed the American border illegally in this country, taking up space somewhere in this country that we don't know about. The FBI is looking for people. Iran explicitly said last week that it blamed the United States for what Israel did. Normally, Iran does not do that, and it's a signaling of the escalation. The problem here is that the Biden administration has given a lot of money to Iran. Now, it's not American money. This is a misconception. A lot of people on the right, they don't quite understand the dynamic. In 1979, the Shah of Iran collapsed, so the Persian Empire finally died. The Persian Empire had been around for thousands of years. Iran was Persia. The Shah of Iran was the head of the Persian Empire. It collapsed. The end. They had a lot of investments around the world. The Shah of Iran was not a great guy, actually, and his policies led to this Islamic uprising. He had massive amounts of money in bank accounts around the world. When the Iranian leadership of the Ayatollah took over, those accounts were all frozen. What Obama did and then what Biden did was they didn't pay Iran our money. They gave Iran a portion of their own money that's been in these accounts forever. They shouldn't have done it. But it is not accurate or truthful to say they gave them American money. They gave them Iranian money we had been denying them access to. We didn't give it all. We still have a lot of it. The problem is we should never have given it to them to begin with, because everyone knows that what Iran does with its money is it funds terrorism. What the Obama administration decided, there are a bunch of anti-Semites. They hated Israel, including Barack Obama. Ben Rhodes was probably the most notorious anti-Semite. And they decided that they could reset the relationship in the Middle East, and they could make kissy face with Iran. It very much reminds me, if you've ever seen The Darkest Hour. The Darkest Hour, there were people within the war cabinet who were arguing with Winston Churchill that you should try to find peace with Hitler. And Winston Churchill said, you cannot find peace with a tiger when your head is in its mouth. What the Obama administration decided to do, and what the Biden administration went back to doing, was putting the American eagle's head in the Iranian tiger's mouth and saying, we'll choke you full of cash so you can't actually swallow us. The Trump administration left the Iranians in a worse financial position. In fact, the Trump administration undid so much of what Obama did and hurt the Iranians financially. The Iranians had a hard time finding the funds to fund the terror in the Middle East. But Joe Biden made up for it and then some, allowing them to sell oil on the open market to get money there, returning to them cash that was in bank accounts in Western nations. And Iran poured that money into funding Hezbollah, poured that money into funding Hamas, poured that money into military development, not into taking care of its citizens. Also, Iran infiltrated the Biden administration, and they are full of Iranian sympathizers and spies, and this is not in dispute. And it's another sign of the Western media, particularly the American political press corps protecting Joe Biden, that they are refusing to aggressively cover the story of how infiltrated and infested the Biden administration is with ties to Iran. And it's not in dispute. The documents were leaked. Semaphore is one of the only news outlets in the world that decided to run with the documentation showing just how infested the Biden administration is with sympathizers, at least, if not spies, of Iran. So now you've got Israel. It's surrounded by its Arab cousins, and the north of Israel is Lebanon, which is controlled now by Hezbollah, which is completely funded and an arm of Iran. You have Syria also to the northeast of Israel, the Golan Heights area there that Israel took over. Syria is its own regime run by the Arab Nazi Party. The Baathists are the Arab Nazi Party. The Baathists run Syria. Bashar al-Assad, his father, was one of the original Baathists, a friend of Saddam Hussein. But they have been infiltrated by the Iranians, and the Iranians have made a deal with the Ba'athist Party to help the Baathists prop themselves up against rebels who are more sympathetic to the Sunni Muslims of Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Then you have Iraq itself, which is more and more taken over by the Iranians, and Iran itself, growing a burgeoning Persian empire again that is fundamentalist Shiite Muslim. Iran thinks that it can take on the rest of the Arab world, except it's kind of overestimating its abilities. The Saudis, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Bahrainians, the Emiratis, and the Omanians are not fans of Iran. It's not just religious. They also view Iran as a threat to their territorial integrity. If Iran goes aggressively at Israel, which is expected within the next week, you're going to have an expansive war footing, and it's going to draw the Americans in. Israel, Biden and Kamala Harris may not like Israel, but Israel's still our ally. And that's going to expand a war setting. If it expands a war setting and draws us in, we will find out very quickly if there are Hezbollah sleeper cells in this country, which the FBI believes is likely. And that will in and of itself become destabilizing. A regional war will become a global war very quickly at a time of also markets crashing and economic calamity. World War III could break out in the next week. Not to be the optimist. Come quickly, Lord Jesus. Situation's destabilizing. How is it going to impact you? It's not immediately going to impact you unless you have sons and daughters in the military. But if it is a prolonged bit of instability in the Middle East, it is going to spread. The Russians and the Chinese and the Venezuelans are already working with the Iranians. You have a natural axis there that's growing. You have Iran, Russia, and China right now in Venezuela. You've got China and Russia inside Cuba right now, 90 miles off the coast of Florida. We are not as invulnerable as we used to be due to the seas. It's a destabilizing situation, and unfortunately for us, the man we have in charge is a dementia-addled 80-year-old who doesn't know where he is or what he's doing, and his successor in office is a walking word salad, so God help us all. Now, I need to tell you about my bank, Old Glory Bank, and I hope you might consider using Old Glory Bank because they're a fantastic bank. Old Glory Bank will do you proud, and they will, in fact, well, they're just good for your business, and they're good for you. In fact, Old Glory Bank has no-fee checking and no-fee savings. That's how great they are. And you can go get a great bank account from them. You can get mortgages from them. You can get loans from them. If you're a first responder, they have great benefits for first responders that nobody else can get, but you can get if you have a direct deposit account set up with them. You can find out everything at oldglorybank.com, oldglorybank.com. They really are my bank. In fact, I like them so much I've invested in the bank, just so you know. That's how much I like them. They have a great online bill pay system. They've got great budgeting tools. Their app is great. Their debit card is just a work of art. I really enjoy using this bank. It's rare to be effusive with praise for a bank, but I used to use an online bank, and I could never deposit cash. Frustrated the snot out of me. I had to have a bank account in which I could deposit cash since I couldn't deposit cash at my online bank. At Old Glory Bank, they're an online bank, and they figured out how to deposit cash. And so now I've just got Old Glory Bank, and I can deposit cash and checks and everything else. And they're wonderful people, and they're for conservatives by conservatives. You're not going to have to worry about getting your bank account canceled for being a conservative. oldglorybank.com. oldglorybank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show, the perfect blend of news, analysis, opinion, and cooking. Yeah, cooking.
12:51 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory. Crash knocks out 2 left lanes. 285 southbound. The outer loop at South Cobb Drive, exit 15. The 2 left lanes are blocked. Avoid it, though. Think about taking 75-85, that downtown ride, 75-85. Speaking of 75, it looks like there's something new pumping. 75 southbound as you try to ramp onto 285, causing brake lights trying to get through the Cobb Cloverleaf. And thankfully, Georgia 400 and I-85 moving just fine. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's 3 o'clock. Want another Zoom call?
I know for a fact.
Or Eric Von Hessler.
This is what's going on.
Now you can start listening to the Von Hessler Doctrine at work.
Board eligible to become a certified pundit.
And continue on your drive home.
But not quite a certified pundit yet.
EVH, today.
Now starting at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hello, this is Brant Frost, founder and president of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, First Liberty has helped hundreds of small businesses grow by saying yes when the big banks say no. On Wall Street, opportunities to earn big returns are everywhere, but for Main Street investors, those opportunities are often hard to find. Until now. Our First Liberty notes are now open to qualified Main Street investors paying interest rates of 8 to 13% while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here in Georgia. With a few basic qualifications and with as little as $25,000, qualified Main Street investors just like you can earn an 8 to 13% interest rate. If this is you, we'd love to hear from you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and consider joining our First Liberty family today. That's FirstLibertyGA.com, FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Are the effects of diabetes, prostate cancer, hypertension, or high cholesterol robbing you of your ability to perform in the bedroom? Choice Men's Health can help you eliminate ED and get your bedroom performance back in just one visit. Choice Men's Health offers breakthrough treatments for ED and performance issues in the bedroom to help you regain your confidence and give you back the intimacy with your partner. Call Choice Men's Health right now to make an appointment and find out how you can eliminate ED on the first visit. Popular name brand pills like Viagra and Cialis don't work for everyone and can have serious side effects. Choice Men's Health custom medications work immediately, even if you have a medical history or think you're too old to perform like you used to. Choice Men's Health can help you have a fulfilling sex life again. Call Choice Men's Health today at 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170. Once again, that's 404-400-1170.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Did you know that eating healthier and more delicious food is not only good for you, but affordable as well? Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, delicious, and affordable solution for your family. Eating real bread will satisfy your hunger and greatly reduce the amount of food you need to eat. Plus, your improved health from eating real bread may even reduce the need for frequent doctor visits. That's what Real Bread did for our family. 2 doctor visits with 9 kids in 25 years. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, weight gain, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier, more affordable life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Bread Beckers, onlyrealbread.com.
Join the live Army of Extras by calling Army social media link 777 now 877-973-7425.
Y'all, computers are glitching this morning everywhere. It's not just on Wall Street. Oh my gosh, that scared the mess out of me. Welcome. Yes, as all of the voices at one time were saying, all the schizophrenics in the audience were like 877-973-7425. Wow. Okay. We're working on the computer. It just decided, like, you know what? I'm going on strike today. All right. We'll move on from that. Okay. When we come back, I do want to talk about what happened in Atlanta this weekend and my philosophy on covering this stuff. Because I think that the Trump campaign, okay. There are people on the left and the right who are insane, and they all have social media accounts. And what I have found is that on the left and the Democrats, they do a better job of keeping their crazy away from Harris and Biden for the most part. On the right, they put him at the table at Mar-a-Lago next to Trump and let him whisper in his ear. So you have Trump talking to Laura Loomer and then saying loony stuff from Laura Loomer. You got Bill White, who is a notorious person from New York who moved to Georgia and didn't get his way with state legislature and left the state and is now complaining about the governor and his wife. I don't think it's a coincidence that Trump attacked the First Lady of Georgia on stage no less, in addition to social media. After complaints from this guy, Bill White. It's just, there's an extraordinary lack of discipline with Donald Trump. His campaign's done a very good job of keeping him disciplined, and then he just has gone off the rails. We'll get into it. This hour of the program is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you're buying a building or building a building, or you're buying a franchise, or you need a heavy equipment loan, First Liberty might be able to help you. They make their own decisions. They have since the 90s. FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. Go check them out. Good people. They know how to help your business grow. Now, the Trump campaign has now released a new advertisement. It has just come up in the last little while. I've got a copy of it. I want to play you that new ad when we come back. I got to tell you, though, I was watching the Olympics over the weekend. There were way more in Georgia, way more Kamala Harris ads than there were Trump ads. All positive, glowing ads about Kamala Harris, way more. He's being outspent even in Georgia. And the polling reflects it. The polling is getting closer and closer in the state. Trump had been ahead. Now Kamala Harris is surging, and the Trump campaign is instead attacking Brian Kemp in the state of Georgia. It's just not smart politics.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is Medi-Share. Maybe you've heard switching to Medi-Share to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for Medi-Share is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medi-Share works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Hip Nation. We are keeping an eye on Debbie. Debbie is now a tropical storm and is expected to dump dangerous amounts of rain in portions of Georgia and South Carolina. The governor has declared a state of emergency and ordered up the National Guard. And Georgia Power is mobilizing teams to restore electricity as Tropical Storm Debbie lashes southeast Georgia. Crews are in position to respond to the hardest hit areas.
Our crews are where they need to be so that they're not directly impacted by the storm, but they can move quickly to areas that may be impacted by outages from the storm.
That is Georgia Power's Amanda Arnold telling Channel 2 Action News this storm has the potential to cause widespread outages depending on how many customers lose power. Utility crews from other states could also be called in. And the Georgia Baptist Disaster Relief Unit's on standby to help out.
Trucks belonging to the Disaster Relief Unit are real-life transformers ready to head south. One turns into a kitchen that provides 35,000 meals a day. Another turns into a laundry and shower facility.
We bring the physical help, which gives that resident a little hope that tomorrow will be better than today.
Director Dwayne Carter says the all-volunteer units are also equipped with such things as chainsaws to move debris and chemicals to spray in buildings to prevent mold. He says they'll move out on Wednesday. Lisa Nicholas, 95.5 WSB.
And while South Georgia could get a lot of rain, WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards says for us here in Metro Atlanta, she's not expecting much rain at all, just windy conditions. And it's going to be gusting up to 25 miles an hour possibly this afternoon and tomorrow, and warm. Afternoon highs right there around 90. Now let's talk about your money. Stock markets worldwide reacting to some bad economic news in the United States. Correspondent Jared Hill looks at what's behind the sell-off on Wall Street and what to do if you have a 401k and you're watching it today.
The global decline stems from Friday's U.S. jobs report, which showed hiring slowing more than expected and the unemployment rate jumping to 4.3%. Consumer spending drives the economy, and there are also signs that Americans are dialing back after McDonald's and Starbucks reported slowing sales.
And he says if you have a 401k, you just want to ride this out. As we take a look at the markets, the Dow is down 908 at 38,829. So the Dow's down more than 2%. NASDAQ's down more than 3%. And the S&P's off more than 2.5%, which is much better than it was earlier this morning. Well, CrowdStrike is firing back today at Atlanta-based Delta Airlines after its CEO blamed the cybersecurity firm for its service meltdown that he said cost the airline $500 million. A letter from CrowdStrike's lawyers to Delta rejected those claims and said that it was highly disappointed by Delta's suggestion that the CrowdStrike acted inappropriately. The letter added that CrowdStrike CEO offered personal online assistance to Delta CEO, but never heard back from him. It's 102.
Eric Erickson for Hip Nation with a question for small business owners. What would you do if, no strings attached, I handed you $50 or $80 or $100,000 in extra cash flow each year? Give your employees a raise, pay off debt, put it in your own pocket? If you're attracted to the idea of an infusion of newfound cash, drop your expensive health insurance and give Hip Nation a call. Hip Nation can save you an impactful amount of money and improve the quality of healthcare for your employees. A 13-person company switched to Hip Nation and saved $80,000 and then used the windfall to buy a new air conditioning system for their warehouse. So I'm going to ask you again, what would you do if I gave you $50, $80, or even $100,000? Go to HipNation.com. You'll find out the savings are real. Then start putting money you save on health insurance back into your business or even into your pocket. HipNation.com. That's HipNation.com. The call's free. Your savings are life-changing.
Mosquito bites are the worst, right? But did you know mosquitoes are disgusting little germ factories that can carry viruses that can be harmful to your family and pets? Dave Baker here for the local, family-owned company that I trust to protect my home, Breda Pest Management. It's time to quit your itching, be the superhero for your family, and eliminate mosquito-borne viruses in your yard with one call to Breda. Every Breda technician is licensed, providing the knowledge and ongoing training to properly and safely knock down those bloodthirsty, virus-carrying mosquitoes immediately. And if mosquitoes return within 30 days, only Breda will come back and retreat your yard at no additional cost. Nobody is better at protecting your family from mosquito-borne viruses. Breda, they handle bugs and critters. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Adventure seekers and road trip enthusiasts. Thousands of top brand motorhomes and towables ready for delivery and priced to sell. Visit GreatAmericanRV.com.
I'm Channel 2's Lori Wilson.
And I'm Fred Blankenship. This is the place for unmatched traffic coverage.
With our hundreds of cameras and alternate routes, Mike Shields keeps you ahead of it all.
Prepare for your day with us.
Channel 2 Action News this morning, 4:30 to 7.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Veronica Harrell.
Right now, travel advisory still in place in Smyrna with a crash. 285 southbound, the outer loop at South Cobb Drive, exit 15. The two left lanes are blocked. Now, I would tell you to avoid it by using 75, but now another travel advisory because of a crash. 75 southbound at 285. The two left lanes are blocked there as well. Tough delays through Marietta. Use Highway 41. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy and breezy today. Northeast wind gusting 25 miles per hour. Today's high is 90, lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour, daytime high 89.
It's 85 degrees right now in Tucker, 86 and partly cloudy, and Woodstock, Villa Rica has 86 degrees with mostly sunny skies. We'll have more news at 1:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Fade the music. My goodness, if you're just tuning in, our computer, for some reason, has decided to duplicate every bit of audio. It went on strike, and so we're getting two streams of audio at the same time. We have crack an engineering team working to fix our rebellious computer. If nothing else, we will beat it until its morale improves, because it's just a computer. The phone number, if you'd like to be on the program, 877-973-7425. Right now, we got to talk about, well, Trump and his, what he said in Georgia. Let me give you my prevailing theory. I had somebody very angrily, I don't know that angrily, but somebody emailed and said, you just said on air in the teaser of what I was about to talk about, the left does a better job than the right keeping their crazies away from the candidates. Their candidates and elected officials are the crazies. Kamala Harris is crazy. Biden is lost and has a crackhead son advising him. The squad is as crazy as it gets. I know you don't like Trump, but come on. You know, I keep getting this from Trump supporters. I know you don't like Trump. I gave the man $1,000. I would like for him to win the presidency. I don't know that he has the discipline to do so. My point in saying that in the teaser and this is that you may think that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are crazy. Y'all haven't seen the total extent of Democratic crazy because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to win the election. And there is even deeper crazy there. You get it sometimes in manifestations of members of Congress. You certainly get it in the squad. And where do they keep the squad? Away from Joe Biden's ear, away from Kamala Harris's ear. There are many more manifestations of crazy on the left than you may realize. It comes out oftentimes on social media. Many of them think that, for example, Donald Trump wasn't actually shot at his campaign rally. Blue Anon, they call it, the crazy conspiracy theories of the left. If you think Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are crazy, you ain't seen nothing yet. And the difference between the left and the right is that the Trump campaign allows Laura Loomer, who is insane, to sit next to Donald Trump and whisper her crazy in his ear. The Trump team allows Bill White into Mar-a-Lago to talk to Donald Trump, and he goes to Georgia and regurgitates things that sound eerily similar to the sorts of things Bill White says. You have all sorts of social media crazies who they don't allow around Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And those social media crazies on the right, they get a seat at Mar-a-Lago to whisper in Donald Trump's ear. And that's what it is, too. Yes, there are absolutely crazy people in the Democratic Party who get access to Biden and Harris. But the social media crazy is a whole nother level of crazy. And the Democrats have done a very good job of keeping those people online and away from Biden-Harris, while the Republicans take their social media warriors who are insane and put them right next to Donald Trump at the dinner table. So to understand what happened in Atlanta on Saturday with Donald Trump, where he spent more time attacking Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp and his wife, no less, than he spent more minutes about Kemp and his wife than he did Kamala Harris, you need to know who Bill White is. Bill White is a New Yorker who several years ago moved to the city of Atlanta from New York. He's a friend of Donald Trump's. White got to Atlanta at the time Keisha Crimeway Bottoms was the mayor of Atlanta, and crime was rampant in North Atlanta, which is the financial sector of Atlanta. It's called Buckhead. And White decided he would fund the secession movement of Buckhead, and he needed to get legislation through the legislature. And Bill White is horse's rear end, to put it lightly. And the members of the Buckhead delegation in the legislature had no use for him. And he managed to pour gas over his whole idea and light it on fire with other Republicans. And ultimately it was going to work. If Buckhead succeeded from Atlanta, separated from Atlanta, it would cause financial calamity for the city of Atlanta, where the state capital is. And a lot of Republicans didn't have stomach for that. And White didn't do a very good job of reassuring them. His plan seemed to many of them to be a little rushed. And ultimately, Brian Kemp did not help him. He blames Brian and Marty Kemp, Brian Kemp's wife, for scuttling the plans. He declared an enemies list and said Brian Kemp was enemy number one. And then he moved to Palm Beach and joined Mar-a-Lago. He also bought apparently a retreat up in North Georgia. Bill White actually got into my Twitter feed on Sunday night and yet again attacked Governor Kemp's wife. In fact, he's attacked Governor Kemp's wife repeatedly, and he's attacked Governor Kemp. And one of his attacks on Governor Kemp is that Governor Kemp wasn't at the Saturday night rally with Donald Trump. You should know that Governor Kemp was not invited to the rally. The Trump campaign did not invite Brian Kemp to come to the rally. I mentioned Bill White because the grievances that Trump raised on stage sounded eerily similar to the grievances that Bill White has raised about Brian Kemp and Marty Kemp. I don't know that he talked to Donald Trump, but it just seems a little bit too coincidental for his grievances to be parroted out of Donald Trump's mouth on stage, particularly taking on the governor's wife, who in her own right is popular, but also a private citizen. Here's the problem for Donald Trump in this, and some of you won't like to hear this. But I have a wide spectrum of friends on the right, from those who frankly will never vote for Donald Trump to those who cannot understand anyone who would not vote for Donald Trump. I am in this weird position where I got friends who just worship the ground Donald Trump walks on and friends who think he's Satan himself. There is a component of those on the right who believe that Donald Trump's policies would be better than Kamala Harris's policies. They don't particularly care for him, and they really don't like his hardcore supporters who they view as bullies. I encounter those people. Honestly, I've got a bigger problem with some of Trump's most diehard supporters than I do Trump. They're bullies. They can't understand why you wouldn't support him. Anyone who raises a criticism of him is somehow a disloyal traitor when, it's my job to criticize everybody. I tell you exactly what I think. I don't like any of them. I'm willing to vote for him. I gave him $1,000. I want him to win, but good Lord, so some discipline. Nonetheless, I know people who, they were texting me on Saturday night when he started his tirade that said, I am getting to the position, they're telling me, I think they're wrong. Out of the gate, I'll say I think they're wrong, But they're thinking, I could put up with Kamala Harris for 2 years. We'll take back the House and Senate. We'll finally be rid of Trump and his supporters. That's dangerous thinking, but it's thinking that's growing on the right. And that thinking is coming from Donald Trump's lack of discipline. Let me explain the situation for all of you, just so you understand whether you think the race was stolen in 2020 or not. 755,000 people voted in the Republican, 752,000, I'm sorry. 752,000 people voted in the 2020 election in Georgia and then did not go vote in the runoff for the two Senate races for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Of those 752,000 people, we know 427,205 of them are Republicans. They're registered Republicans. So 427,205 Republicans out of 752,000 total voters didn't vote. There have been a number of polling firms that polled those people, those 427,000, and 3/4 of them said they wouldn't go vote specifically because Donald Trump told them that runoff was going to be stolen. In fact, if you want to know just how much that worked effectively, the whole "it's going to be stolen" talking point did, Democrats actually bought billboards around the state through super PACs, like Election Integrity PAC, things like that. And they said, "It's going to be stolen, don't bother." That's what the billboard said. It's going to be stolen, don't bother voting. And 457,205 Republicans said, you're right. It's going to be stolen. Brian Kemp didn't summon the legislature in a special session and change the laws like we wanted. He didn't listen to Donald Trump. It's going to be stolen. We're not going to vote. And the result is the U.S. Senate went to the Democrats. Republicans talked themselves out of voting. So 752,000 people didn't vote in the runoff. 457,205 of them were Republicans, and then 228,000 new voters who didn't vote in the general election, they voted in the runoff, which is legal in Georgia. If you don't vote in the general, you can still vote in the runoff. It's 228,000 people who didn't. The margin of victory for Raphael Warnock was 95,000 votes. Had those Republicans voted, even with the new voters, the Republicans would have kept the Senate. In 2022, realizing there was a problem, Brian Kemp built up a ground game in the state of Georgia. And Brian Kemp did better in 2022 against an even better funded Stacey Abrams campaign than he did in 2018 against her. The Abrams campaign in 2022 was firing on all cylinders, had a better ad campaign, had way more money, had a better ground game operation she had spent 4 years working on building up, and she lost. And Kemp's ground game was able to get Herschel Walker, who no one thought would win the general election. He was able to get Herschel Walker across the finish line into the runoff. And then Republicans, they didn't want to come vote for Herschel Walker because he was damaged goods. Well, a lot of women Republicans did go vote, but they voted for Raphael Warnock because Trump had said Herschel Walker was his guy. And so the Republicans decided, like lemmings, to jump off the cliff for Herschel Walker and went down in flames in the runoff, giving Raphael Warnock 6 years in the U.S. Senate because those Republicans listened to Trump instead of Brian Kemp. Problem is that Trump and his handpicked candidates all underperform every other Republican in the state of Georgia. So for Donald Trump to stand on stage in Atlanta and attack Brian Kemp in a state that is a swing state that Kamala Harris has bounced back in, according to the polling, where it's now roughly a tied race again, is not smart politics. At least his campaign online is firing on all cylinders. At least his campaign is staying on an economic message online. The problem is Trump. He lacks the discipline. He tends to talk about the things the last person he talked to talks about. And when he gets surrounded by people who have petty grievances, like people who don't like Brian Kemp, and he stands on stage and he goes after Kemp, he had an opportunity to spend the whole night talking about Kamala Harris and her record. And he did do that. He just spent less time on that than he did on Brian Kemp and his wife. That's not smart politics. You may not like Brian Kemp. I personally do. He's a friend. You may not like him. You may be one of those cranks who's still arguing over the stolen election. But are you stupid enough to think that it's worth relitigating 2020 at the time you actually need Brian Kemp's ground game in the state? Because here's the other missing piece of the puzzle.
Donald Trump doesn't have a ground game in the state of Georgia. Donald Trump doesn't have organizers in the state of Georgia to the extent needed to win. The only person who does is Brian Kemp. The state party has had all sorts of problems. Josh McCune, the state party chair, is rebuilding the party. The party's been in disarray. It doesn't have a lot of money.
There are so many ways for you to be involved.
And I have no idea. All of this is to say, people,
There are so many ways.
that the Trump campaign probably needs to focus on, well, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and not focus on their grievances with Brian Kemp. Even if you have the grievances, even if you want to fight, now is not the time to fight Republicans. Republicans were extremely unified over the last month and a half, and Kamala Harris's pick has united the Democrats. And what does Donald Trump do after the Democrats unite behind Kamala Harris? He goes to Georgia and picks fights with Republicans about stuff that happened 4 years ago. That's bad politics. I don't care who you are. That's bad politics to relitigate 4 years ago at a time you need to be focused on the future and uniting the party. They should have invited Kemp. They could have done a unity rally. Kemp would have come. He's already pledged to support Trump in 2024. But they chose not to invite him. Instead, they attacked him. And he's the guy with the ground game in the state you need. Luckily for them, he's not petty. But how many people are going to remind themselves, God, this is why I didn't vote for him in 2020. I just don't think I can do this. Maybe 2 years of Harris and we take back the House and Senate. Maybe we should do that. That's the problem, is those people on the right and the independents who think, I can put up with her for 2 years. The Supreme Court will protect us in the meantime, and then we can take the House and the Senate. You don't want people headed down that road. And because of what happened on Saturday, some of them are.
When the world seems crazy, he'll keep you sane. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
120 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Tough delays remain over in the Smyrna area with this travel advisory crash. 285 southbound at the outer loop at South Cobb Drive, exit 15. The two left lanes are closed, causing tough delays. Think about using that downtown connector 7585. This report brought to you by Twas the Night Before at the Fox Theater. Cirque du Soleil's new holiday show, Twas the Night Before, plays the Fox Theater November 29th through December 15th. Get tickets at Broadway in Atlanta.com. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Get breaking push alerts.
Stream Erickson, Aram, and Von Hessler.
And win $1,000.
Download the WSB app and get ready for the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 different keywords. 5 chances every weekday to win $1,000. Begins August 12th.
Just in time for football season.
On 95.5 WSB.
Rules and info at WSBradio.com/cash. Download the WSB Radio app now.
At City of Hope, we are driven to stop lung cancer, to respond to its every change, its every mutation with a new treatment approach, to meet the most complex cases with the latest innovations, to analyze cancer down to its DNA, then fight it with the newest surgical, radiation, and immunotherapies, to never give up, so you can be driven by hope. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
It's Eric. Are you thinking of adding value to your house, or just you want more convenience and more comfort in your kitchen? Frugal Kitchens can get you one of those $1 million home kitchens at a fraction of the cost. They want to talk to you about how you can go through their process, get your new dream kitchen up and going, and you can be cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get 18 months no interest financing available. It's what Christy and I have done. Life happens in your kitchen, and Frugal Kitchens can put you in a great one. FrugalKitchens.com.
Dave Baker here for Rhino Shield. Well, it's summer. I love summer, don't you? The golf, the beach, the lake, family vacations. Absolutely love it. Wait, what? You can't go this summer because you're using the summer to paint your house? You're using your vacation money on painting your house? Wow. You know, if you let Rhino Shield paint your house, you won't ever have to worry about painting it again. See, Rhino Shield goes on like paint and it looks like paint, but it's better than paint. And unlike paint, it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is a durable coating that comes in an endless array of colors. It resists chipping, cracking, and peeling, and is mold and mildew resistant. Plus, there is financing available available. You can buy now and pay later with 0% interest and no payments for 12 months. So free yourself up for summer. See Rhino Shield on the web at rhinoshieldga.com. And remember,
don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people, Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better immediately at Sam's guaranteed best price. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Breathe easy.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Want Eric's weekly recipes? They're super delicious. Text recipe to 33777 now.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number, if you want to be on the program, 877-973-7425. Mary Lynn, I want to go to you next. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be on your show.
Thank you.
I went to the Trump rally on Saturday. It was my very first Trump rally. And it was a good experience. Very big crowd. People standing on the sidewalk that couldn't get in. Speeches were good. Enthusiasm was great. I stayed and listened to most of Donald Trump, but not all of it. And I was not happy when he started disparaging Governor Kemp. I, like many Georgians, appreciate the things that he's done for us so we could weather this Biden economy. And I just thought it was a very bad move on his part. And I wanted to get across to the campaign that they were going down the wrong road. And so, I posted something. Donald Trump had posted something about the Saturday event in Atlanta. And I did a reply to it, and I told him that, it was a great rally and everything, but I wanted to give him a piece of advice that I hoped he would seriously consider if he wants to win Georgia. And I said, you need to stop, and I put in caps, stop disparaging Governor Kemp. And I told him I realized he had grievances against him, but it was time to mend fences and put that behind him.
Look, I'm glad you said that. So go ahead. What's your question?
How do I actually get to somebody in the Trump campaign that matters, that would actually even bring that to his attention?
Oh, trust me, I have it on very good authority. It has been brought to his attention. On very good authority, it's been brought to his attention. So, yeah, I don't know that we will see more of this, although oftentimes when people tell Trump not to do something, he doubles down on it. I need to be very clear here with all of you. Any movement that expects loyalty and unity to flow in only one direction is more bowel movement than political movement. And right now, everyone in the Trump supporters no, Kemp must be united and loyal to Trump. Everybody must be united. And it's got to go both ways in a political movement, or otherwise you're just full of crap. And that's how a lot of people are feeling right now. So be careful out there. Let me tell you about Hillsdale College, y'all. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com today, it is a great website to go to learn more about Hillsdale College and how you can support their mission 365 days a year. They are a nonprofit, and they are a great institution of higher learning. They also have a program for classical education for K through 12 schools. So you're literally, by supporting Hillsdale College, supporting restoring excellence to American K through 12 education, including civics instruction. It's not just for private schools or for homeschool. It's just for public schools too, and a number of states are embracing it. But it's got to be funded by donors like you. So if you're willing to support Hillsdale as they restore excellence to American education, you can go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com today. Every dollar's tax deductible, and every dollar goes to improving the minds of the future in America. ericforhillsdale.com. It is well worth it, tax deductible, and a great institution to support.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's news and talk.
At 1:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Tropical storm Debbie making its way towards South Georgia. Tybee Island City Manager Michelle Owens says they are preparing the best they can.
From what we understand is that this is a 1,000-year flood event. So this is highly unprecedented. We don't know what to expect. We are preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
The storm made landfall this morning along Florida's Big Bend as a Category 1 hurricane. Debbie is blamed for at least one death so far. A 13-year-old boy died in Florida when a tree crushed his mobile home. Now an update on your money and the big jitters on Wall Street today. Bankrate's Greg McBride says the markets were overdue for this kind of fluctuation.
Market corrections, which is a 10% pullback from a high, tend to happen on average about once a year, every 12 months or so. We're overdue. So, put it in that context.
He says if you're watching your 401k, you can't be distracted by day-to-day volatility. His advice is to ride it out. At this hour, the Dow is down almost 900 points. The S&P and the NASDAQ are both down more than 2%. Owners of neglected property in Atlanta could be hit with a blight tax. Councilmember Byron Amos says the Atlanta City Council will consider it today.
It allows us to do a 25 times the normal tax rate on a property that is dilapidated, deteriorating, uninhabited.
Once a property is deemed blighted, its owner would have until January of the following year to fix it up or sell it or face the higher tax. Some good news from Freddie Freeman and his wife about their 3-year-old son, Max, who was hospitalized with a rare neurological condition last week. He is now out of the hospital and back home. It is now 1:32, and up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
We've all heard it before. Buy one, get one windows. 10% off if you call today. $500 off if you sign tonight. But are these really a special? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, we want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
Hello, this is Brant Frost, founder and president of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, First Liberty has helped hundreds of small businesses grow by saying yes when the big banks say no. On Wall Street, opportunities to earn big returns are everywhere, but for Main Street investors, those opportunities are often hard to find. Until now. Our First Liberty notes are now open to qualified Main Street investors paying interest rates of 8 to 13% while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here in Georgia. With a few basic qualifications and with as little as $25,000, qualified Main Street investors just like you can earn an 8 to 13% interest rate. If this is you, we'd love to hear from you. Go to firstlibertyga.com and consider joining our First Liberty family today. That's firstlibertyga.com, firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Back to school doesn't mean the end of summer activities, but it does mean a lot more traffic on the roads with school buses, carpool parents, and everyone trying to figure it out. Doug Turnbull here, and all it takes is one distracted driver to turn your summer and your life upside down. If you've been injured in a life-changing wreck, make the life-changing call to the Strong Arm, John Foy & Associates. It's the team I trust for the experience and winning track record to fight for you, and there's no cost until they win your case. JohnFoy.com.
At 1:34, Veronica Harrell is in the traffic center.
And saying good afternoon to you, Bill. Not a good thing for folks over on 285, though. Still dealing with this travel advisory crash. 285 southbound, the outer loop at South Cop Drive, exit 15. Currently, the two left lanes are closed. Tough delays. If you're thinking about taking 75 to avoid the backups now in Marietta, crash is cleared. 75 southbound at 285, but delays remain. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy and breezy today, high 90. Northeast wind gusting 25 miles per hour.
89 degrees. More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Erick Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Erick Erickson here. The news on the ground in Pennsylvania seems to be pointing towards Josh Shapiro or Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, being Kamala Harris's running mate. Shapiro makes the most sense. He's deleted from his Wikipedia page that he was a volunteer for the Israeli Defense Force, so the progressives won't like it. Part of me still thinks she won't pick him because of progressive outrage, but he makes the most sense. We'll see. Also, the Wall Street Journal has a correction I've got to read for you. Those of you who are Jewish in particular, you're going to enjoy this. This is the correction of the Wall Street Journal. An earlier version of this article incorrectly stated Benjamin Netanyahu said Moses brought water from Iraq. He said the water was brought from Iraq. Okay. Yeah, one more time. This is actual correction in the Wall Street Journal. An earlier version of this article incorrectly stated Benjamin Netanyahu said Moses brought water from Iraq. He said the water was brought from Iraq. Not the country Iraq, but from an actual rock. You know, he struck the rock and water poured out. Yes. Well done. Well, I'm glad they corrected that. All right. I want to get to Stacy's phone call before I move on. Stacy, welcome to the Erick Erickson Show. How are you?
Hey, good. I have a real-world example proving what you said about the rally right. So you're right again, Eric. You're right again.
Oh, well, thank you. Charlie, you hear that? Charlie, you hear that?
Hey, my family stood in line for over 2.5, probably 3 hours Saturday. We did not make it into the arena because it was over capacity to get into the building. I was with my 50-year-old husband, my 20-something-year-old son, who's a new voter, my 12-year-old. All of us were engaged and enjoyed our 3 hours in the hot sun. Once we were turned away, we got in our car and started listening to the rally live in our car. All the speakers except Trump were engaging and focused on substance. Once Trump started speaking, the excitement within my family just soured. My 50-year-old husband, who's a legal immigrant from south of the border, started asking, where's the substance? Where's the policy? Why is he just criticizing people? Why is he name calling? My 20-year-old young voter was asking, what's Trump got against Georgia? My 12-year-old just said, why is Trump mean? So now I'm at ground zero with a family that was excited, had never been to a rally, stood out in the hot sun, and now I wonder if two of them are even going to go vote.
Gosh. Yeah, look, it really is a problem. I'm glad you called and shared that, Stacey, because it's one thing for me to say it, but you were there, you stood in line. And by the way, I do think it's worth noting the Harris campaign tried to say that there were lots of empty seats. There were no empty seats in that arena. It was impossible.
There was easily 600, probably 1,000 outside that wanted to get in but couldn't.
Yeah, well, look, I'm sorry you couldn't get in, but two, I appreciate the anecdote because, yeah, it's lots of anecdotes at some point become data. Y'all should see the email and text messages for people. People very upset that Trump just doesn't seem to have the ability to let stuff go that he should. But that gets me to the state of play in the race. This is still Donald Trump's race to win or lose. It has certainly trended in Kamala Harris's direction, but she's not necessarily in the lead, particularly in the swing states. And so you've got Rich Lowry from National Review, a conservative, who's on Fox News Sunday. He said this.
You know, he still is the president, still needs to be doing things, but I don't necessarily think his presence will hurt. I just don't think he will be on the trail with her as much as if he was running. So, they'll be selective of when they use him.
Maybe not as much as he seemed to indicate when he piped in his voice to the campaign headquarters and said, I'll be right out there with her. Rich, Harris has been breaking records on fundraising. Trump is trying to keep pace, at least with the ad spending in Pennsylvania specifically. What does that tell you about this election, this race, and maybe even Harris?
She has obviously had a huge burst of momentum, right? She's gone from a month ago, she was a subpar vice president, and now she's the second coming of Barack Obama, basically. And a lot of it has to do with just sheer media adulation. A lot of it is relief among Democrats and no longer having Biden at the top of the ticket. But I think her case, and this goes to what we were talking about earlier, is basically, you guys maybe didn't like Trump and Biden very much. I'm a third force. I'm fresh and new. And what Trump has to argue is, no, she was an integral part of an administration that most Americans consider failed. The president's job approval rating is 40% or below for a reason, but it needs to be disciplined. It needs to be concentrated, and we haven't seen that yet.
Bob.
Yeah, it needs to be disciplined, needs to be concentrated. We haven't seen that yet. That's from the right, Rich Lowry, editor of National Review. But here's David Axelrod, who's getting attacked for having this conversation on CNN.
Himself, who suddenly looks like the past and not the future. And so this is not the scenario the Trump campaign wanted. They thought they had this race under control. It is much more of a contest now.
Yeah, and look, she has a lot of momentum, but if you do look at the polling, this is still a really tight race. This is going to be a hard fight for either side, a tough, based on the numbers we're seeing right now.
100%. Look, I mean, anyone, there's a lot of irrational exuberance on the side of on the Democratic side of the aisle right now because there was despair for some period of time about what the November was going to look like. Now people feel like there's a chance. But it is absolutely Trump's race to lose right now. He is ahead, and he is ahead most of the battleground states. They're close. They could be won by either candidate. But there is a lot to be determined in the next 90 whatever days, 96 or whatever it is left. Yeah, I think it's a wide open race. But Trump has the advantage right now, and nobody should.
Now, we can stop there as David's dog starts barking in the background, but he's getting attacked by Democrats for saying there's a lot of irrational exuberance about Kamala Harris. He's right. The problem with Trump in Atlanta on Saturday is he began to sow discord on the right among people on the right, and you have Trump diehard supporters who demand unity and loyalty for Trump, while Trump shows none back to people like Brian Kemp, who already said in October of 2023 he'd support Trump over Joe Biden. If Donald Trump got the nomination, Kemp said he would support Donald Trump. He's been at the Republican National Convention in July saying he was supporting Donald Trump because of his policies, that he can put their personal issues behind them, and Donald Trump can't seem to put his issues behind. So you have people saying, well, why should I vote for this guy? 2 years of Kamala, we take back the Senate. We got the Supreme Court to protect us. We don't have Looper Bright. We don't have an expansive bureaucratic state. It's not going to be that bad for 2 years. That's what they're saying to themselves. I would disagree, but I understand why they're trying to talk themselves out of it. But the problem for Kamala Harris is, as Rich Lowry pointed out, she's still tied to Joe Biden. This is the polling division for CBS News released a poll that is superficially good for Kamala Harris, but it has problems for Harris in it.
The race to define Harris is underway. They're spending tens of millions of dollars in her campaign to play up the fact that she was a prosecutor and has worked with the president on various issues. The former president calling her a San Francisco liberal and doing other things. But on the issues also, does he still enjoy an advantage over Harris, now the Democrat, on the big issues or concerns of voters?
So that's really important because some things in this race have not changed. The idea that you would be better off financially if Trump were elected, Trump still has a big advantage over now Kamala Harris on that. And the idea that his policies would slow or decrease the number of migrants trying to cross the border, that he still has an edge on. But to your point about defining Harris, well, there's a larger number who say they think her policies are similar, mostly the same, but not entirely the same as Joe Biden's. So it's that little bit of difference defining what that is that I do think is going to be key to watch in the campaign in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and to that point, the Trump campaign, again, Trump himself may be undisciplined. His campaign is actually very disciplined. And they've already got out an ad on social media. I assume they will drop this onto television and radio stations. But their ad, it literally just hit within the last hour after all the market turmoil. This is how quick of a turnaround they had.
Here we go. Look at them go down. What some would call history in the military. Don't say that.
We have never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Bidenomics is working. It's working.
The stock market just taking a big old nosedive this morning.
Dow Jones is down about 1,010 points.
That is called Bidenomics.
The Dow fell more than 600 points Friday on a weaker than expected jobs report.
5%. Meta, 6%. Amazon, 6%. Apple, 9% down.
Bidenomics is working.
Fears of a recession began after Friday's disappointing July jobs report.
Bidenomics is working.
A rise like that is historically a sign that a recession is imminent.
This is Bidenomics.
What you're seeing right now, the stock market, is what Americans have been feeling for the last 3 years. It's just a manifestation of it right now.
All that is called Bidenomics.
That's the ad. Just dropped. A remarkable turnaround using audio commentary, television commentary from this morning. The ad is entitled Kamala Crash. They spell crash with a K instead of a C. Kamala Crash. They're circulating that. Listen, the economic turmoil benefits the Republicans because they're not in the White House. As I say all the time, as I said in the first hour of this program, disproportionately, presidents get credit and blame for economies when oftentimes it's not their fault, except in this case, because of what Joe Biden did to provoke inflation at the beginning of his administration, when even Democrats like Larry Summers warned him not to. They do get more of the blame, and they should because of inflation. There was not inflation when Donald Trump was president of the United States. That's why a majority of Americans, even though they don't care for Trump, liked his administration more. So again, this is still Trump's race to win or lose. But nature is healing itself in that regard as well, because Nate Silver, who has his projections from used to be 538.com, now it's just Nate Silver. He left 538 in the care of ABC, and they've promptly run it into the ground. He's on his own now, but he's got his model back. It had Trump winning for the first time. It has slipped into a favorability for Kamala Harris winning the race. Democrats for the last 6 to 8 months have been attacking Nate Silver as in the pocket of Donald Trump. Today, Democrats are citing Nate Silver, and Republicans are claiming he's been bought off by Kamala Harris. Nature is healing when the parties reverse themselves. It's still Trump's race. The economy being bad, a recession looming, it works towards Trump. But what the Trump campaign has to remember, what Donald Trump has to remember, is he may have adoring fans who surround him at the dinner table at Mar-a-Lago and at these rallies, but a majority of Americans don't care for him. He's got to stop reminding Americans why they don't care for him and remind them that they liked his administration. He's got to be able to do that. There are 91 days until the election. There are less than 60 days until early voting. He's got to stay on message. And on message means focusing on Harris, not on Brian Kemp or other Republicans. He attacked Bill Lee, the governor of Tennessee, as a rhino. Why are you spending your time attacking Republicans you need to vote for you, Donald Trump? All you're doing is reminding them that maybe we could weather 2 years of Kamala Harris and take back the House and Senate and destroy Trumpism. This is from Bill Malugin. Per new Department of Homeland Security data provided to the Judiciary Committee between fiscal years 2021 and 2023, at least 99 illegal aliens on the FBI terror watch list were released into the United States after being arrested by Border Patrol at the southern border. Another 34 watch-listed aliens are still in DHS custody. Additionally, DHS data provided to the committee reveals terror watch list aliens from at least 36 different countries have been apprehended at the southern border under the Biden-Harris administration, including Afghanistan, Iraq, Lebanon, Kazakhstan, Mauritania, Pakistan, Somalia, Syria, Tajikistan, Turkey, Uzbekistan, and Yemen. This is information Customs and Border Patrol refused to turn over via a FOIA request last year to Fox News, citing privacy concerns and minimal public interest. Fox has reached out to the Department of Homeland Security for comment. We'll update when we hear. The new Department of Homeland Security data comes in a just-released report from the House Judiciary Committee. Look, it's just a statement of fact. If there's a terror attack in this country from illegal aliens as this situation in the Middle East heats up, it's going to be pinned on the Biden-Harris administration. The economic meltdown pinned on the Biden-Harris administration. Donald Trump, it's his race to win, but it's his race to lose. And if he keeps spending his time attacking Republicans instead of Democrats, he's probably going to lose it. He can still win. He should still win. There needs to be some better focus on his part, and the campaign probably needs to firewall him from the crazies of social media so they stop whispering in his ear before he gets on a campaign stage. One of the groups out there trying to help the right is Americans for Prosperity. They're the largest grassroots group on the right, the largest and leading grassroots organization. They go into the states and do the business of the conservative movement, educating voters about the issues, teaching their advocates and volunteers how to knock on doors, how to talk to their neighbors about issues, how to go to the state legislature or the local governments to talk about issues. You can be a part of it. All you have to do is go to AmericansForProsperity.org. AmericansForProsperity.org. You go to AFP, you volunteer with them. They've got chapters in almost every state. They teach you what the issues are, how to talk about the issues, how to advocate to your neighbors, how to go to your local government, your state government to be effective for conservatives, to be effective for families, to be effective for school choice, to be effective for border security issues, to be effective on the right. All you have to do is go to AmericansForProsperity.org, AmericansForProsperity.org. Sign up with AFP today. They've got chapters across the country. They'll make you a more effective conservative activist.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
151 in the Coolidge area, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Well, travel advisory remains with this crash investigation over on 285 southbound, the outer loop just below South Cop Drive, exit 15. The two left lanes are still closed, causing tough delays. Continue to use the downtown connector, 7585. This report brought to you by Scott Antique Market. The Scott Antique Market is this weekend. There's no telling what you'll find. Visit the Atlanta Expo Centers at I-285 on Jonesboro Road. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend, ScottAntiqueMarkets.com. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Stay connected to Atlanta's news, weather, and traffic with the 95.5 WSB app. Listen to Atlanta's morning news. EVH, Eric Erickson, Mark Aram, and Shelley Winter. No matter where you go, 95.5 WSB and the WSB app. Download it today or find us in the iHeart and Odyssey apps.
Dave Baker here for Air Quality Systems. Having your air ducts cleaned is great. It helps keep your home cleaner and has health benefits. But you need to be careful who you choose to clean your ducts. I received an email from a listener who told me she was quoted $499 for a duct cleaning, but she was charged over $1,400 with add-ons. That's just wrong. At Air Quality Systems, you get upfront pricing. The price you're quoted over the phone is the price you pay. Simply go to airqualitysystems.com and set your appointment today.
Do you think you need to renovate your kitchen, but you're worried about the costs? Well, Frugal Kitchens can help you get $1 million looking kitchen for a fraction of the cost and 18 months, no interest financing available. The best part, they can get you back up and cooking in 5 days from the start of construction. Life happens in your kitchen. That's where you build so many memories. If you're like Christy and me, that's why we use Frugal Kitchens, and you can too. FrugalKitchens.com is the website. Go check them out. Don't forget, 18 months, no interest financing available. FrugalKitchens.com.
When you're looking for leading cardiac care, look to Northside Hospital Heart Institute. We lead with 95% patient recommendations. You could say we're #1 in the heart of Georgia. We lead with 100 dedicated cardiovascular doctors, so you'll know your heart is in the best hands. We lead with compassion, because you are at the heart of our care. Northside Hospital Heart Institute. We lead with heart.
Men, if you have ED or PE and Viagra or Cialis doesn't work, Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or it's free. Call 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I'm here with my friend, Dr. Brian Hill, owner and founder of Hip Nation. Tell me a recent experience about a company where you saw real employee savings.
We had an electricians company that decided to look into Hip Nation. Heard us on the radio, actually heard your voice, Eric. They reached out. We ran third plan. They compared to our solution at Hip Nation. For their 25 employees, they saved $114,000 in year one. And that's just the first year. That $114,000 is going to roll over year after year.
Brian, if I'm a small business owner looking at saving money and I'm looking at Hip Nation, what would you tell me is the compelling reason to check out Hip Nation?
Our goal is to help an employer save a significant amount of money and to make sure that their employees get great access to great health care. We see businesses as small as 5 employees saving as much as $50,000 by switching to us. We had a flooring company that just recently switched and put $50,000 back into their bottom line.
Go to HipNation.com to get a healthcare quote for your business today. The call's free. The savings are life-changing. That's HipNation.com.
Has the heat brought out the stink in your basement? Water damage? Musty odors? Mold? Dave Baker here. Let AquaGuard Foundation Solutions fix it once and for all and keep your basement dry year-round. Visit AquaGuard.net for your free inspection.
AquaGuard.
Want to be on the show? Live stream, be on the show, and
Call
social
Eric
media
now
links
at
by texting Eric to 373-7425 now.
All right, we may have to kill the computer before this day is over. Okay, so the phone number is 877-973-7425. It's discombobulating me. It's okay. We're going to focus. We got lots of other stuff to talk about, including the balancing between Tim Walz and Josh Shapiro. Those appear to be the final candidates for Kamala Harris, according to press reports. Shapiro makes the most sense because he is, whether you or I like him, still a popular governor in Pennsylvania. Tim Walz, however, gives Kamala Harris something that Josh Shapiro does not, and that is age. Why is that important? Well, because he would not be likely to run for president if Kamala Harris makes it through a second term. Josh Shapiro would. There are a lot of Democrats who they don't like Kamala Harris now being the nominee because they thought, well, Biden will be done by 2028, and then it'll be my time and I can run and challenge Kamala Harris, who's not a great candidate. Well, now suddenly she's the nominee and she could take it through 2032. A Tim Walz in 2032 would not be old. It would not be young enough to run for president. And so you got the Whitmers of the world and the Gavin Newsoms of the world thinking, okay, that's fine. A Josh Shapiro could still be in the game in 2032. And suddenly Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer and others, no chance at being president of the United States at all in that case. Shapiro is a threat to them because of their own ambitions. And that fundamentally becomes the problem. That being said, Shapiro brings with him the 18 Electoral College votes of Pennsylvania. If it is Shapiro, you'll suddenly start having a lot of Republicans say, well, the VP pick doesn't really matter. Actually, it matters with Vance and it matters with Shapiro because with Shapiro, he knows how to win. $9.99, it's 55% off. And at checkout, if you put in Eric, E-R-I-C-K, On orders over $139 or more, you're going to get an extra $30 off. So you got a minimum order there. It's a great deal. It is a great deal. Not only is it a great deal, it's delicious. And it's from Omaha Steaks, so it's incredible quality. And it's 55% off this package. Everything is 50% off or more at their site right now. It's the anniversary sale, omahasteaks.com.
Heavy rain and severe storms have impacted our area again. How did your roof hold up? Hi, it's Dave Baker, host of the Home Fix-It Show here. Water is your home's #1 enemy. I recommend you schedule a free roof analysis with my roofer, Findlay Roofing. The roof guys. Check your attic, ceilings, drywall, and chimney. Any dripping water, wet spots, or water streaks? If yes, think of Findlay first. Get peace of mind with no obligation and no charge. FindlayRoofing.com. Roof.
I'm Channel 2's Lori Wilson.
And I'm Fred Blankenship. Big stories are always breaking.
We're constantly working to bring you fresh information from different perspectives.
Prepare for your day with us.
Channel 2 Action News this morning, 4:30 to 7.
If you're seeing cracks in your drywall, stucco, bricks, around doors and windows, or in your flooring, you may have a foundation problem. Doug Turnbull here. Call Atlanta Ramjack. Foundation repair is all they do. Get your free inspection. Just Google Atlanta Ramjack.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Tropical Storm Debbie already drenching southeast Georgia, and much more is coming.
That will be a generational storm that we've not seen. They're calling it a 500 to 1,000-year storm.
GMA Director Chris Stalling says up to 2 feet of rain could fall in parts of South Georgia this week. Governor Kemp putting the Georgia National Guard on standby because of Tropical Storm Debbie. He signed an executive order allowing up to 2,000 Guard members to help with cleanup and recovery efforts. And we just learned that 4 deaths in Florida are now blamed on Debbie. It is 88 degrees in Atlanta. Not much impact from Debbie on our weather this week. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Now the latest on your money. As stocks plummet today, Bankrate's Greg McBride says this won't have much of an impact on retirement savings or other long-term investments for the average American.
If you're saving for retirement, this is a game we play over decades. You can't be distracted by day-to-day volatility.
And at this hour, the Dow is down more than 900 points. The S&P and NASDAQ also down over 2% at this hour. News about your health now, and a new strain of COVID is circulating.
The CDC here in Atlanta says this new variant has doubled in the number of cases in the U.S. in just the past 2 weeks, and this is from samples of wastewater in 20 states. Now, you're being urged to be aware that it's circulating and take precautions, especially if you are older or immune compromised. This new variant also seems to be much more infectious than previous variants and may be better at evading immunity built up by existing COVID vaccines. Sabrina Cubit, 95.5 WSB.
A mail carrier's been arrested in Gwinnett County after some residents in Decula complained about not getting their mail. Sergeant Colin Flynn with Gwinnett Police says that's when investigators zeroed in on Marcus Gregory.
They watched as he got out of his mail truck, walked into the woods, and dumped some of the mail into the wood line on the side of the roadway.
Police say inside the mail truck they found guns and drugs. They searched his vehicle and home and found undelivered mail at both. He's facing over 50 felony counts and could also face federal charges. The Georgia Bulldogs are ranked number 1 in the preseason coaches poll released today. Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama round out the top 5. Georgia's season opening opponent, Clemson, comes in at number 14. It is now 2:02, and up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Did you know that even a 0.5% difference on your auto loan rate could equal thousands of dollars in savings? Get pre-approved on your next auto loan or refinance your current auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union today. You'll get one of the lowest rates in the market, as low as 5.24%. This is Andy Harris. Come see us at a Coosa Valley Credit Union branch near you. We're local and nearby in Northwest Georgia. Plus, you'll always speak to a real person when dealing with us. So come see us.
Equal Opportunity Lender.
You've probably heard that constipation and IBS can all be related to a lack of fiber in your diet. Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you or someone you know suffers from constipation or IBS, let the Bread Beckers show you the way to more fiber and regularity and to better health without swallowing a pill or a bad-tasting drink. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber from real whole grains. a healthy, affordable, and delicious solution for your family that can change your life. This is not like the enriched bread you buy at the grocery store. It's real bread. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Breadbeckers, onlyrealbread.com.
When it rains, it pours right into your crawl space, and that creates that musty smell and dangerous mold growth under your house. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here for American Crawl Space Solutions. Make the smell and the water go away and stop the water from coming back. Call American Crawl Space Solutions. They're experts at keeping your crawl space dry and preventing the mold from growing in your home. Give them a call today.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
When someone first comes in and you see that discouragement on their face, they've tried so many different products, but nothing seemed to work for them. I'm able to take that and turn it into hope.
You're listening to Mallory, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
They try the arch supports. You see their face brighten up from feeling discouraged to being happy and hopeful again. You're helping people. We're able to take them from the pain to the possibilities.
Try them for yourself with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
It is 2:05 and time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather in the 24-hour traffic center. Here is Veronica Harrell.
And still issuing this travel advisory over in Cobb County. Crash investigation continues. 285 southbound the outer loop just below South Cobb Drive, exit 15. The two left lanes are closed, causing tough delays. Continue to use the downtown ride 7585. And then staying in Cobb County, tractor trailer crash 285 eastbound the inner loop ramp to I-75. Now off into the Gore, but delays remain through Vining. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy and breezy today. Northeast wind gusting 25 miles per hour. Today's high is 90, lows tonight in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. Daytime high 89.
No rain right now in the metro Atlanta area on storm tracker radar, but heavy bands of rain are now in southeast Georgia because of Tropical Storm Debbie. So beware if you are traveling down I-16 this afternoon. 88 degrees in Duluth, 87 in Villa Rica, 87 in Conyers. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, you want a sense of the trouble Trump caused for himself in Georgia over the weekend. They're not all coming on the show today, but 9 out of 10 phone calls that we have had are from women who are angry that he attacked Brian Kemp's wife. It is distinct and notable. By the way, happening now, a Piper PA-28 airplane has made a crash landing on the practice green at Haggins Oaks Golf Course. Holy cow. The video in Sacramento, California, it's engine failed. The pilot sustained minor injuries, narrowly missed a golfer on the green. The incident was captured on surveillance video. Goodness gracious, that pilot was lucky, as was the golfer. The security camera footage is wild. The plane comes down and flips over and sideways slings down through the practice green. There is a golfer that just narrowly ran and got out of the way as this plane comes crashing down, and it comes within a foot of taking the guy's golf bag out. Just remarkable footage. In any event, we got to move on. But keep in mind the number of, in fact, let me get you, here's just one sample. These are the sorts of emails I'm getting. This is from listener Nicole. My husband, daughter, and I all live in Atlanta, not a suburb. We prefer President Trump's policies, and as state licensed builders, we own the company. We're very concerned about everything. I want to express how my husband and I are currently thinking and feeling. I'm hoping that you will continue to drive home the point the best that you can to his campaign team. We've gone from optimistic to worried. We're very concerned that President Trump's mouth will make us lose the election. And as business owners, that would not be good for us. The stupid attack on Governor Kemp was entirely uncalled for. Our governor has done an excellent job in our state. It was very stupid, in all caps, of President Trump to attack him and his wife. We need every vote here. The Dems here are very motivated because Kamala Harris is a black woman. That's just the truth. Do not alienate voters that generally prefer Trump policies. Here are the talking points he needs to stick to. He needs to be able to speak facts about all of these things and stop attacking people who have sound policies. If anything, he should endorse Governor Kemp. Cease regurgitating the same resentments. No one's going to change a vote over 2020 at this point. Focus solely on the abysmal failures of the current administration, the border, crime, human and drug trafficking, the economy, federal spending. Say you're not anti-abortion. Clearly say you're not anti-abortion. I don't know about that one. That'll hurt him with the right. Clean energy. Great idea, but needs infrastructure and better technology. That's listener Nicole writing in. I've been getting these all day. It's probably, and you know, there are dismissive people saying, well, they were never going to vote for him anyway. Actually, I know these people. They're still probably going to vote for him. They're just very angry right now with what he did, and it's a distraction at a time you need maximum unity on the right. Now, in that regard on messaging, I got to say, if I were Donald Trump, I would take MAGA from meaning make America great again to make affordable groceries again, because it's such an important issue. But there's another one. Someone on the Trump team should really read Justice Neil Gorsuch's new book, Overruled: The Human Toll of Too Much Law. He sat down with David French of the New York Times over the weekend writing about it. When this gets to, he makes a point, as does David French, that I have made numerous times on this program. The more complex the law becomes, the greater a subsidy it is for the rich. I want to ask you individually, you who are listening, and I mean you right now, you're sitting in your car, your home, or your office, somewhere you're listening to me right now. Do you have a lobbyist? Do you have a lobbyist in Washington, D.C.? You individually, for your family. Do you pay someone, not your member of Congress, you pay someone to go to Washington, D.C. to talk to your member of Congress on your behalf? Do you? I bet none of you do, because you're not Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or any other billionaire. The billionaires individually and for their companies have lobbyists who can go to Washington, D.C. and take care of them. You do not. There are trade groups like the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Businesses, that looks at small businesses. You've got different family groups on the left and the right, but you don't have a lobbyist. As our laws have grown, it's become more complex. As it's become more complex, it's harder for you to be entrepreneurial because of all the laws you've got to comply with. Gorsuch actually talks about Aaron Swartz. Aaron Swartz was a tech guy, and his case was driven home to Neil Gorsuch as a tragedy. Aaron Swartz was an internet entrepreneur. He had a passion for public access to material that he thinks should be in the public domain. He downloaded a bunch of old articles from a research website called JSTOR. If you're in law or medicine or whatever, you're familiar with JSTOR, you can get research articles. His lawyers say it included articles from the 1942 edition of the Journal of Botany. Well, he wasn't supposed to do that. He thought it should be publicly accessible, but it wasn't supposed to be in the terms of service of JSTOR. So he and JSTOR negotiated a solution they were happy with, and when state officials brought criminal charges against him, they dropped them because of the settlement. But federal prosecutors decided to charge him with felonies. So he refused to plea bargain. They offered him 4 to 6 months in prison. He didn't think that was right. He wanted to go to trial. So what did they do? This is Neil Gorsuch's words now. They added a whole bunch of additional charges, which exposed him to decades in federal prison. And faced with that, he lost his money, all of his money, paying for lawyers' fees, as everybody does when they encounter our legal system. And ultimately, he killed himself shortly before trial. And that's part of what our system has become. That when we now have, I believe, if you remember correctly from the book, more people now serving life sentences in our prison system than were serving any prison sentence at all in 1970. And today, one more little item I point out, 1 out of 47 Americans is subject to some form of correctional supervision as of 2020. If you're Elon Musk, you can go to Washington, D.C., you can hire lobbyists, an army of lobbyists who take care of you, and lawyers who take care of you. But if you're listening to me right now, you can't do that. J.D. Vance, I don't want to go off on the toaster thing again, but J.D. Vance made this argument that we need to restore American manufacturing, and our cheap toaster is costing Americans jobs. Actually, the cheap toaster that I'm buying allows me money to pay for my kids to go to school and keep them out of government school. I like my cheap toaster because my cheap toaster frees up my resources to fund other things for my family. If you want to take on solid issues, Gorsuch's new book actually provides a path, the overcriminalization of American federal society. See, if you read the Constitution, it's the states that are supposed to control criminal law, not the federal government. But as the federal government has grown, it has begun criminalizing more and more so that it can pressure you to curb your behaviors. So that, for example, if the state doesn't charge you with a crime, the federal government can charge you with a crime. And in some cases, the state can charge you with a crime and the feds charge you with a crime, and it's perfectly constitutional because it's 2 separate legal systems. So you can be bullied and badgered by the government into being controlled in ways you don't think you should be. Like the Aaron Schwartz situation, the state decided because the party injured, the victim, was fine and remedied the situation through a private settlement, the state would not bring charges, but the federal government did. There was no reason for the federal government to insert himself into that situation, and yet the federal government did. And the guy ultimately committed suicide. When you face the federal government, very few of you will be like Donald Trump, where you have a massive legal fund that you can fundraise off of, and then you can pay lawyers to go to court, maybe find a sympathetic judge, and get the charges dropped, or make your way to the Supreme Court. Very few of you can do that. And it's not just that. It's the regulatory environment as well. Forget the old joke about tearing the label off your pillows or the mattress, whatever. Think about all the other regulatory issues in your life. Things you don't even realize. Go back to my situation with my air conditioner, where I'm probably going to have to get a new unit because my unit is old enough that they're not making much of the Freon anymore that it requires. They're now making a new coolant that's actually propane-based that doesn't cool as well because it'll save the environment. Never mind, it's not as good. It's not going to work as well. I'm in this limbo right now of, do I replace the unit or do I keep it? And the air conditioner people are like, they're making less and less Freon. At some point, you're not going to be able to get the Freon and you're going to have to replace. I'm like, well, at least I can save some money before I flip. And it's all not to save you, but to save the planet. The burdens and costs. So you may not realize this, but so there is something called the USC, United States Code, more familiar if you're in law school, USCA, United States Code Annotated, and that just means there are references in the volumes. It used to be for the first 100 years, the entire United States Code was one book. It's now 50 books spread out on a bookshelf, and some of those books are actually multi-volume series for the code. You've got it's divided into categories and topics, and it's just unwieldy. It's a massive compendium. You have now still, I guess, technically 32 chapters. Nah, you got more than that. And it's, 54 now, 54 titles. It's absurd. From national parks to voting to national and commercial space programs to war and national defense to railroads to veterans benefits. Each of these titles has their own book or two. And then the bureaucratic agencies have what's called the Code of Federal Regulations. And though the federal code is massive, the Code of Federal Regulations is even more massive. And you got to comply with that stuff if you're a small businessman. It's hard to do. It's great if you're a big business, but if you're a small business, it's not. And part of the problem is the complexity in our legal society and the complexity in our regulations and the complexity in our statutes is a subsidy for wealthy people at a time Democrats complain all the time about the wealth gap in this country. The poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer. Well, the government itself, because of Democrats and Republicans combined, have made a system so complex. Of course, there's a wealth gap because the poor can no longer get ahead in this country, not because they don't have access to government programs, but because the government's gotten too unwieldy. They have to stay put because if they try to get ahead, the big business that pays the money for the lobbyists comes after them and ruins them. If Republicans really want to commit themselves to the poor, the working class, the middle class, they need to take on the federal code and the federal code of regulations. They need to deregulate. They need to cut the code. They need to get out the criminal statutes of the federal government. They need to gut the criminal statutes of the federal government. Things that should be criminalized should be done at the state level, not the federal level. I would encourage every single one of you to read Gorsuch's book. I myself, full disclosure, I haven't, but I read several of his interviews, and he's on the point on these interviews. That the fact is that the biggest problem in this country when it comes to elevating the poor out of poverty and elevating the middle class into the upper classes is we have too complex of a federal system that only the wealthy can navigate. And if you want to make the world more equitable and better for the poor, the working class, the middle class, you got to get rid of lots of the federal government because it's gotten too complex for them to be able to navigate. And all you can do is pile them up on the social safety net, take care of them, and try to make them comfortable. And that's absurd. We're a nation of entrepreneurs, and you cannot be an entrepreneur when Uncle Sam can sue you out of your business because you dared to take on a big company. We need to fix that. Republicans, J.D. Vance, this is your issue. Move it forward.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
220 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Authorities are making progress now with this long-standing crash investigation. 285 southbound the outer loop just below South Cop Drive, exit 15. Now only one left lane is closed, but still it is a slow ride between Vinings and Smyrna. This report brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Save for back to school at Whole Foods Market. Use Prime to get 30% off all Annie products through August 6th while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
If it's happening on the streets of
There
Atlanta.
are now more cases of Georgians getting very sick.
If it's happening on the roads leading to
Heading
Atlanta.
south, those delays start just south of 485.
We've got it covered.
Classes are back in session at Decatur City Schools.
Your 24/7 news source.
Covering the stories that impact you.
Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
We are into the dog days of summer. It's hot, then it rains, sometimes it storms, and a strong summer storm can leave your home without power for hours, even days at a time. You'll be without air conditioning, appliances, electronics, even more important, medical devices. But you don't have to be. Dave Baker here for Coolray Heating and Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. You can keep your power flowing with the Generac Home Standby Generator and know you'll have power when you need it most. See, after sensing a power outage, Generac generators automatically turn on, restoring your power. And right now, Brightbox Electrical, a Coolray company, is offering $1,500 off the purchase and installation of a Generac Home Standby Generator. And if your AC system has seen its better days, Coolray has brand new Carrier Home Comfort Systems, which include their lifetime parts and labor warranty in stock and ready for next day installation. So don't let Mother Nature get the best of you. Fight back. Simply set up your appointment online today at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Here at Massey, we've seen the damage termites can cause. That's why we've been protecting homes from termite damage for almost 100 years. Our termite protection program, featuring Always Active Centricon system, doesn't just protect your home from termites, it gives you peace of mind. That's why our termite protection guarantee covers your home and everything in it. Schedule your free inspection today at masseyservices.com. Massey Services. Expect more and get it.
Christina Edwards here. If your home is like mine, it is built on our famous Georgia red clay, which absorbs moisture and is very slow to dry out. It can cause a drainage issue in your crawl space, potentially growing mold and producing that musty smell. But call my friends at American Crawl Space Solutions. They will walk you through the issue and only suggest the repairs you need to solve the problem. Visit AmericanCrawlSpaceSolutions.com to schedule your free in-home consultation.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated. Are you sick of all the fancy charts and investment mumbo-jumbo thrown at you to justify the Wall Street fees you're being charged? It's not the size of your nest egg that matters, but rather the income it can produce. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In this film, we traveled over 20,000 miles interviewing real Americans who have retired successfully with a great lifestyle and peace of mind. They share their stories on how they get more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and the money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even the super wealthy are shifting money into this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better, stress-free retirement, call to talk to a specialist and get a free copy of this brand new movie, The Retirement Deception. 888-471-3896. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free. So don't delay. Call 888-471-3896. Again, that's 888-471-3896.
Coming up Tuesday on Atlanta's Morning News, the Debbie latest from Florida and South Georgia and any change in the forecast that might affect Metro Atlanta. Kamala Harris begins her swing state tour with her new running mate. Breaking Metro stories and triple team traffic every 6 minutes. And why Clark Howard is still hesitant to ask AI for financial advice. I'm Chris Chandler. When you wake up tomorrow, join us starting at 5 for Atlanta's Morning News on 95.5 WSB.
3 years ago, my mom, my sweetheart, who had type 2 diabetes, died of heart disease. We didn't know that if you have diabetes, you are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop cardiovascular disease. Heart disease and diabetes are linked. If you have type 2 diabetes, know your risk of heart disease. Be good to yourself and those you love, because the sooner you know your risk, the more you and your doctor can do about it. Go to foryoursweetheart.com.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Glad to have you with me. I do have to say it's kind of funny, some of the criticisms out there of Brian Kemp from the pro-Trump crowd. One, they're being very dismissive of the women who complain, which is part of the problem here. In their bubble, the women don't matter. But also, so some guy just tweeted at me and says they just caught a post office worker in Gwinnett County with guns and drugs in his car, stealing mail, keeping it in his car and in his house, and dumping it in the forest. So excuse me if I don't lose any sleep over this Kemp thing. He may have okay approval, but his leadership isn't perfect. Now, I don't know about y'all, but the last time I checked, governors of states don't have any role to play in the post office. None whatsoever. No role to play.
Get the podcast
in the federal post
live
office. My gosh, our computers are going just completely berserk today. Gremlins in the machines. In any event, yeah, Kemp plays no role. Sorry, no role at all in the post office. I got to tell you. You get inside your bubble. This is where I'm here. I'm the instead of the breaker of chains, I'm the burster of bubbles. You get inside your bubble and you just tend to forget how the world works outside the bubble. When your reaction to me telling you the number of women who call and complain about what Trump did is to say, well, they shouldn't be voting anyway. They were going to vote for Biden anyway. That's really not a way to find common ground with people. I don't know if you know this or not. But elections are about addition, not subtraction. You add people to your coalition, and in this country, for the last 50 years, since World War II, it's independent voters who've determined who won the presidency. independent voters, not Republicans, not Democrats. And independent voters tend to be socially liberal, fiscally conservative voters who tend to vote Republican, but they don't always. And lately they seem to be drifting away from the GOP because of Trump's attacks on, well, people like the wife of the governor of Georgia, as opposed to just the governor and leaving the wife out of it. These things matter. If you want to win, politics isn't hard, y'all. I've run and won plenty of races, including my own election. Politics isn't hard, but managing Donald Trump can be impossible. He's got a good team around him. They just need to keep him focused and away from the crazy people whispering in his ears. Now, I got to tell you guys, Vision Computers, let me talk about your employee productivity right now because, I mean, look at the economy today. You want your employees to be as efficient and productive as possible with their jobs. That means probably not having to take care of their computers. That's where Vision comes in. For $179 a year per computer, they can take on your computer tasks so your employees can be great at their jobs and Vision can be great at their computers. Any one of you nationwide can sign up for this for your business or even for your home. You got a home computer? They'll build you computers, and if you get a computer from Vision, this comes with it for free. But if you don't have a computer from Vision, you can call them 15 seconds or less. You get the answer to your question. All you do is call them at 404-COMPUTE, 404-COMPUTE, or go to visioncomputers.com. Go to visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You get an even better deal. Vision will be your tech support solution. So your employees, instead of trying to figure it out themselves and wasting time, they call Vision, 15 seconds or less. They answer the phone. They give you the answer. They can even remote in if they need to. And your employees can get back to being productive for your company. Visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Call them and tell them I sent you.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. The Georgia coast could get historic flooding from Tropical Storm Debbie.
We are expecting this from rainfall, 10 to 15 inches of rain, maybe 20 inches in some areas.
Tybee Island City Manager Michelle Owen says they are prepared to be without electricity. The storm is blamed for at least 4 deaths in Florida, including 2 children. Georgia Power is mobilizing teams to restore electricity as Tropical Storm Debbie lashes southeast Georgia. Crews are in position now to respond to the hardest hit areas.
We begin mapping a plan for the general location, but as everybody knows, those storm tracks can shift and swerve at the last minute.
Georgia Power's John Kraft reminds people to stay away from downed power lines when removing debris. Depending on how many customers lose power, utility crews from other states could be called in. Vice President Harris is expected to announce her running mate at a campaign rally in Philadelphia tomorrow. She spent the weekend interviewing prospective candidates. Harris is canceling a campaign event in Savannah this week because of Tropical Storm Debbie. Recession fears sending stocks spiraling today. The Dow is down almost 900 points at this hour. NASDAQ is down more than 3%. The S&P is down over 2%. The American Red Cross sounds the alarm about an emergency shortage of blood. It says the supply is down more than 25% this summer. Type O blood is especially low right now. CrowdStrike is firing back at Atlanta-based Delta Airlines after its CEO blamed the cybersecurity firm for Delta's service meltdown. A letter from CrowdStrike's lawyers to Delta rejects those claims. It says it is highly disappointed by Delta's suggestion CrowdStrike acted inappropriately. CrowdStrike CEO offered personal online assistance to Delta's CEO but did not receive a response. Delta says the IT outage cost the airline about $500 million. It is 2:32, and up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
It's that time of year. Vacations, cookouts, fun. But I hope you aren't ignoring your home to-do list. You know, the one that starts, get water leak in basement fixed. Dave Baker here for AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. Here, let me help you get started. If you have water in your basement or mold and mildew smells down there, simply go to AquaGuard.net and set up an appointment for a free inspection from an AquaGuard expert. Well, that was easy. There's a reason they're the trusted local experts. Just remember, AquaGuard.
If you have COPD, here are some reasons to go see your pulmonologist again. 1. Those flare-ups you keep having, they have the chance to cause permanent lung damage. 2. We now know a certain type of inflammation can cause flare-ups for some people. And 3.
When can I see Grandma?
Need more reasons? Visit www.livewithcopd.com.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Dave Baker here for Air Quality Systems. Having your air ducts cleaned is great. It helps keep your home cleaner and has health benefits. But you need to be careful who you choose to clean your ducts. I received an email from a listener who told me she was quoted $499 for a duct cleaning, but she was charged over $1,400 with add-ons. That's just wrong. At Air Quality Systems, you get upfront pricing. The price you're quoted over the phone is the price you pay. Simply go to airqualitysystems.com and set your appointment today.
At 2:34, Veronica Harrell is in the traffic center.
And really making progress with a long-standing crash investigation. Right now, Wrecker is on scene with this crash investigation. 285 southbound, the outer loop at South Cop Drive, exit 15. Left lane still blocked, and delays remain. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy and breezy today, high 90. Northeast wind gusting 25 miles per hour.
Right now, 88 in Smyrna, 86 Lawrenceville, 90 in Riverdale. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number 877-973-7425. Y'all, I've been chuckling about this. And I wish I had the fuller clip. I don't, unfortunately, but it's still good. Michael Smirkanish has he's a radio show host and I guess Sirius XM, and he's also got a CNN show on the weekend. And he played a clip. The clip is not his. The clip is from a CBS news station in Pennsylvania that goes a white reporter wearing his Michael Jordan T-shirt and a jacket goes to a black barbershop. Now, side note, for those of you who do not know, the greatest conversations you will ever have on planet Earth are in a predominantly black-owned barbershop where nobody holds back. Everybody keeps it real, and the conversations are always frank and honest. It's a lot of fun. Except, so I would take my son to one, but the profanity sometimes would get out of hand, and I was like, I got to stop taking him to this particular barbershop. But I'm telling you, in the black community, particularly among men, the barbershop is where there's not a coincidence in the number of movies about barbershops, and they feature prominently in so many TV shows related to the black community because it definitely is a thing. So white reporter goes into black barbershop for questions about Kamala Harris's race, and well, it does not go as the reporter clearly wanted it to go.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow, is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
Yeah, so I don't have the extended clip. I wish I did, but in the extended clip, the white reporter begins lecturing the black men that actually she's black. Now, Smirkanish on CNN comes back in and tries to talk about this, and just listen to the commentary.
When I played that audio on my Sirius XM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African-American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low-information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
Okay. Here's the problem. The exception to the rule are the black people listening to Michael Schmierkanish on Sirius XM on a Thursday. Yes, the exception is that. You go to a black barbershop, you're going to have those conversations. And this is kind of the thing that I've been trying to explain to you guys. Donald Trump doesn't need to talk about Kamala Harris and race because those conversations are already happening in the black barbershop, the black beauty shop, in the church. They're already happening. And when white Republicans try to step into those conversations, they all circle the wagons. It's pretty straightforward. They will circle the wagons around Kamala Harris because, in their view, it's their conversation to have. It's not yours and my conversation to have. But the conversation's already happened, and the conversations aren't going the way that Kamala Harris might want. That's just the truth of the matter. It's also very funny. And now Trump is now redefining his attacks on Kamala Harris and going after her on other cultural issues. This is him from Atlanta, the few moments he spent attacking her instead of Brian Kemp.
Harris is a radical trans activist, and she is the candidate of letting men beat up women in the name of tolerance. But you look at what's happening over in Paris, it will never happen here. I will never let it happen. I will get all males off your daughter's soccer teams and volleyball teams and get them out of your locker rooms once and for all. That's going to be cleaned up, and we will fight to make sure that the LA Olympics protects women and protects girls. I will fully uphold the Second Amendment.
Fully uphold the Second Amendment. Kamala Harris is a radical. It's not a bad attack. But also, I think that there are more attacks worth making. This is Tom Cotton on Face the Nation over the weekend.
No, I think we always knew this campaign was going to be a close race. But remember, she's only been the nominee for 2 weeks now. She hasn't answered a single question, not one single question by the media, Ed. She's only had one single unscripted moment Thursday night at Andrews Air Force Base, welcoming those hostages back, and she served up the kind of incomprehensible word salad for which she's become famous. When she has to encounter the media, and I'm sure you're going to insist that she does, she's going to have to answer for things like why she wants to eliminate oil and gas production in this country, why she wants to ban gas-powered cars, why she wants to confiscate private firearms. So we knew this race was going to be close all along, whoever the Democrats wanted to put up against President Trump. But Kamala Harris has only been the nominee for 2 weeks and hasn't answered a single question. When the American people get a better look at her and her radical positions, I think you're going to see that they don't want her to continue the Biden-Harris legacy.
Okay, so Harris, by the way, is a walking word salad, and I don't think anyone can dispute that. And if you don't believe me, this is Kamala Harris trying to explain what the cloud is.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us. Right? Mm-hmm. It's no longer in a physical place.
We can be unburdened by what has been, I guess. This is going to be ultimately, I think, where this conversation heads is Tom Cotton hinted at it. She's been largely sheltered. She's been sheltered because the Democrats want her in that bubble. They know that when she goes off script, she tends to say these wild things that come off as a little goofy.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris.
With each day, renew our commitment to the urgency of now and the ability that we have collectively, all of us in it together, to do something about it.
That was Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris.
Yeah, she's just got there's too much out there, too much baggage out there for Kamala Harris to be sheltered. And so the Democrats are going to do their best to shelter her. What Republicans are going to have to do is continue to make the case to expose Kamala Harris in unscripted interviews. And will she do any? She doesn't have to. Look, Joe Biden got elected in large part because he hid in a basement and did nothing. He hid in a basement and refused to do interviews except favorable interviews, things like that. There is a path forward for Kamala Harris using Joe Biden's 2020 playbook, but the Republicans, I think, have caught on enough that they're going to push this issue very, very hard. Now, I have more to say, but unfortunately, I've got to shift. There is some breaking news that's happening right now. 2 explosions have been reported near Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. That's where American troops are housed. Al Jazeera is reporting that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has said Iran-backed militant groups have begun launching rocket attacks at the American base in Iraq. So you have Iranian positions in Iraq and in Iran launching attacks at American positions. President Trump, likewise, today apparently saying that Iran is planning to attack Israel tonight. This has been making, he did some sort of interview with some social media streamer and said that he expects there to be an attack on Israel tonight based on what he's been told. We know that he gets intelligence briefings. We don't know if those are from intelligence briefings, but the situation continues to escalate in the Middle East with American military personnel coming under attack in Iraq, and they're already saying the Iranians are taking credit for it. That's happening right now as I'm on air. It is, of course, nighttime over there, and the situation could escalate. The Israeli government has taken to underground bunkers, expecting a massive barrage of missiles from Hezbollah and possibly from Iran. We're going to see what happens. We have moved an aircraft carrier and an aircraft carrier group into position to be able to help Israel. The problem here is that the Biden administration is not really a friend of the Israeli government. They don't like Benjamin Netanyahu. They blamed Benjamin Netanyahu for a lot since October 7th. Everybody seems to forget that Hamas started this. And the situation continues to spiral out of control. Now, here's the practical political problem on this. And I got to say up front, I kind of cringe myself saying, well, we got to talk about the politics of what happens over there. But, I mean, we're in a political season. We've got the stock market is down. Things are not going well. Let's see. The Dow, as of right now, this update, it's down 1,026 points right now. When I started the program, had recovered some, was down 800 points. It's now down 1,026 points. NASDAQ down 641 points. S&P 500 down 167 points. Things are not going well for the stock market today. On top of that, you add in instability in the Middle East that draws the United States into a greater fight. You're going to have real issues. Those issues are going to provide more instability, and that instability is going to benefit Donald Trump, not the party in charge, who is Joe Biden. And Joe Biden chose to brand it as the Biden-Harris administration. And because he chose to brand it the Biden-Harris administration, Kamala Harris gets tied to it more easily. Now, she's always going to be because she's vice president, but typically vice presidents can distance themselves. However, Harris has made a big deal herself out of the fact that she's going into the national security briefing in the Situation Room today. That Situation Room briefing started about 15 minutes ago. It's not a coincidence, about 15 minutes ago. So here's the thing. Let me lay out the timeline for you. The Biden administration announced this morning, Eastern time, that at 2:30 p.m. he would be in the Situation Room meeting with his generals and his national intelligence staff. And at 2:30 p.m., rockets began raining down on American personnel in Iraq. I don't think that's a coincidence. What I think it is a global situation where people see we have a dementia-addled old man as president and progressives taking advantage of it in the White House. And those progressives in the White House do not like Israel. Remember, it's progressives in the White House who have leaked against Israel's national security interest. It's progressives in the White House who leaked in advance to Iran strategies Israel would be taking, leaked them to the press as well. All of this, Iran, I think, interprets as to Iran's benefit. Now, Iran is famous for interpreting things wrongly. Like, for example, Iran is warning that if Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and others help Israel, that there will be repercussions. Iran thinks it can launch repercussions against the whole Middle East. That's not actually true. This whole situation destabilizes the Middle East, and that instability comes from weakness in the Biden administration, where we've got a guy the whole world has seen isn't quite competent to make decisions. And who is he surrounded with? The hardest core of the hardcore progressive left who hate Israel. Iran interprets this as a way that they can go after Israel with minimal repercussions from us. And by the way, they can also say, well, we're going to blame the Americans as well. And because the Biden administration doesn't want to rock the boat for Kamala Harris, they can say, whoa, we're going to hold back here. Have at it. Don't bring us into it. We want to win. We'll deal with you after the election. And that just strengthens Iran's hand and makes Israel have to operate more aggressively itself. All of this causes instability with 22-year high interest rates on top of it. You got the situation out there with the banks today, the stock market. Swiss America has been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. They've been warning people about a secret war on cash. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the secret war, you need their free report, The Secret War on Cash. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Swiss America can educate you on protecting your assets in their shocking report, The Secret War on Cash. You can read it in less than 15 minutes. It can save your retirement finances. It is very informative. You probably want to get a copy of it with what's going on out there. Get your free copy, completely free. All you have to do is mention Eric when you call or text 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency as well. It's growing daily. Get the report, The Secret War on Cash, completely free. Just mention Eric when you call or text 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. You can go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric as well, or go to text my name to 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
Red alerts, 250 in the Cool Ray Carrier 24-hour traffic center. I-85 is shut down both ways at Brazelton, north of Highway 53, exit 129. Just confirming with authorities, a big rig carrying explosives is overturned. They're shutting the freeway down for over a 1-mile stretch out of caution here. 85 is jammed both ways of the stretch in northeast Georgia, just outside of Metro Atlanta. Highway 11 and 15 are the alternates there. That's also a work zone that's been there through the day as well. All lanes reopened in Smyrna. Trouble 285 south at South Cobb Drive. I'm looking for new interloop problems. 285 north at Paces Ferry. Doug Turnbull, 95.5 WSB.
It pays to have the WSB radio app. Download it today and get ready for the Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. 5 chances every weekday to win $1,000.
Begins Monday. It's a Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
From 95.5 WSB.
Download the WSB radio app now.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, could be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Go to carsforkids.org today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
It's Eric. I don't know about y'all, but life happens in our kitchen. It's where we have our memories, our family time, our laughs. Well, you don't want a lot of downtime, but you may want to renovate your kitchen. You want one of those $1 million kitchen looks and get it at the fraction of the cost with Frugal Kitchens. They know that you've got plans for your kitchen, and they want to help you. And here's why I love them. They can have you cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get you 18 months no-interest financing. FrugalKitchens.com. That's where you want to check them out. FrugalKitchens.com.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for over 30,000 mouth-watering choices with savings beyond low prices, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. More savings and more inspiring flavors make Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola or Canada Dry. Select varieties or buy 2, get 2 free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Reliable Air has an offer you can't pass up. Free AC until 2025. That's right. Get a new AC system and make no payments until next year. And Reliable Air offers an unmatched lifetime warranty. Visit reliableair.com and book a free consultation or call 770-817-3760. Get a brand new AC and pay nothing until next year. Next day installation guaranteed. Call 770-817-3760 or visit reliableair.com and book a free consultation today. Select models only. Limited time offer.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people, Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better immediately at Sam's guaranteed best price. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Breathe easy.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here as we continue to watch the markets fall. The Dow still down over 1,000 points. Okay, can we talk about Scotty Scheffler winning the gold medal at the Olympics? That was so. Rory McIlroy. I like Rory McIlroy. Says his two favorite events are the Olympics and the Ryder Cup, because you're playing for love of the game. You're not actually playing for money. You don't win money. Now, Scotty Scheffler, the Americans pay money to their winner. He gets like $38,000. But he wept like a baby when he got up there and they started playing the national anthem. It was just a neat thing to see. And what was so amazing about it, to give you an idea of how good a golfer he is, he was doing terrible on the front nine. And then he got to the back nine and he started birdieing every single hole and he wound up winning. He came from like when he got to, so, you know, in a golf course, there are 18 holes. On the last round, he got to the 10th hole and the odds of him winning gold were at 0.4%. And he pulled it off. And then there's Noah Lyles. I watched this. So Noah Lyles is the fastest man on earth. He won the gold medal in the 100-meter final. And he was running against Kashane Thompson from Jamaica. It was literally a photo finish. They crossed the line at 9.7 seconds. The rule in the Olympics is the first one whose torso passes, not head. So, in fact, Kashane Thompson's head in the picture is across the finish line further than Noah Lyles. And a lot of people watched it and thought that Thompson must have won. But the rule is torso, and you can clearly see that that Noah Lyles' chest gets across the line sooner than Kashane Thompson, who's straining his neck to lean forward. So he came in number two. In fact, Lyles thought that Kashane Thompson was in first place. He even says, I turned to him and said, I think you got the Olympics, dog. But turns out that Lyles' torso passed the line first, which is the metric used, and he won. It's really been cool. You know, for the first time in 11 years, the Americans have lost the swimming medal in men's swimming to China. First time we've lost a gold medal in 11 Olympics. So not 11 years, 11 Olympics. That's a long time. Maybe we can get back in 4 years. But we're ahead in medals now, which is good. We've been tied with the Chinese for this Olympics. Let me do medal count in Olympics so far. We won a bunch this weekend, including Scotty Scheffler. Yep, China is now ahead of us in gold medals by 2. We are ahead overall in total medals. We got 75 to their 52. But, yep, they're picking up. We've got 19 golds, 29 silvers, and 27 bronze for 75 total. They've got 21 gold, 17 silver, 14 bronze for 52. Australia is in third place with 32. We're head and shoulders above everybody in total medals won, which is great. Good for us. We should be in first for gold, though. Nonetheless, good showing in the Olympics. No, I'm not watching. I'm not boycotting the Olympics because of the opening ceremony. I want to see Americans beating China, which is mostly what we've gotten, which has been a great thing. And Scotty Scheffler won the gold medal and cried like a baby during the national anthem, made it worth it. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
So I don't know if you've done it, if you've driven through the Georgia 400 I-285 interchange recently, and then the various exits and what they call feeder collectors around them within miles on 400 and 285. After 7 years of misery, the drive is so much faster in some situations, but the big thing's so much safer, and I'm so thrilled about that. But just as soon as they have finished all this, we got the orange cones coming again. Yeah, that's right, the State Flower of Georgia. The orange cone is coming for the new toll roads on 400 and 285. And I used to be opposed to these. Now I get them. They actually do make sense, especially because we've never been able to make bus rapid transit work in Atlanta. Now we will be able to. I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 3 o'clock. I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Debbie's impact on South Georgia. Tybee Island City Manager Michelle Owens says it is going to be a long week.
We are prepared to be without electricity. We are an island with one road in and one road off, so we are also prepared to be isolated.
At least 4 deaths in Florida are now blamed on Debbie, including 2 children. The storm made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane along Florida's Big Bend this morning. South Georgia is bracing for record rainfall.
Georgia Emergency Management Director Chris Stalling says this system is major.
If forecasts are accurate, the amount of water we're going to get, again, is that 500-year, 1,000-year flood level.
And because of that, officials are advising people evacuate.
I would say get out. Get you and your family out ahead of time. There's a lot of resources out there.
And that means we'll likely see more traffic here in the metro area over the next day or so as folks are evacuating from both coastal Georgia and South Georgia, heading north to higher ground. Michelle Wright, 95.5 WSB.
Governor Kemp today issuing a state of emergency through Thursday due to the threat of historic rainfall with this slow-moving storm. Kemp signs an emergency order today authorizing the call-up of as many as 2,000 Georgia National Guard troops. It's 90 degrees in Atlanta, and we are not expecting much impact at all from Debbie on our weather. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. And our other big story, it is an update on your money and the stock market sell-off today. Bankrate's Mark Hamrick says investors should remain calm as stocks come off record highs.
The major averages are off between 2% and 3%. That is fairly orderly. It's abnormal in the sense that we don't see it on a daily basis, but given the high levels that we've seen, it shouldn't really come as a big surprise.
And with 1 hour until the closing bell, here are the ugly numbers at this hour. The Dow is down over 1,000 points. NASDAQ really getting hit hard, down almost 4%. The S&P is down more than 3% as well. Vice President Harris is expected to announce her running mate tomorrow. CBS's Nicole Skanga reports Harris and her new running mate have a lot of ground to cover after the announcement.
Whoever Harris picks is set to join her on a 7-state battleground tour starting tomorrow. The latest CBS News poll shows Harris virtually tied with former President Trump